Chapter 30, 100. As if sensing Zi Chen's gaze, the rank seven god glanced at Zi Chen with a glint in his eyes. Sensing the change in the other party's gaze, Zi Chen's heart skipped a beat and he walked in another direction. Interesting. The god clan member, who might be a rank 7 god clan member, looked at Zi Chen, who was walking to the side with a smile on his face. He seemed to have exchanged for what he wanted and turned to leave. Zi Chen heaved a sigh of relief. Then he came to the place where he had been and quickly placed his hand in front of him. He touched a barrier. The barrier lit up and many patterns appeared on it. At the same time, many images appeared before Zi Chen's eyes. Zi Chen's spiritual senses moved, and the resources representing the God King's spirit essence lit up. Zi Chen silently counted to 1,000, and the number of God King's spirit essence increased to 1,000. All of this was controlled by the rules. It was very convenient. Therefore, Zi Chen's spiritual senses immediately extended and lit up all the ancestral monuments. At the same time, he also lit up the armor that he had taken a fancy to previously. At the moment, the amount of contribution points that Zi Chen needed to pay was as high as millions, and even close to 10 million. Of course, the armor accounted for most of the contribution points. Zi Chen's contribution points had long exceeded 10 million. Therefore, he did not hesitate to exchange all the remaining palaces for the God King's spirit essence. With the final confirmation of his spiritual senses, Zi Chen's contribution token exploded with a strong light. At the same time, the contribution points disappeared rapidly. At the same time, many light spots flew to Zi Chen's side and were collected by Zi Chen. Looking at the ancestral monuments, Zi Chen felt very secure. This scene attracted the attention of the surrounding natives. They all cast surprised gazes in this direction. After seeing the things in the light clusters, their faces were filled with curiosity. However, they did not care. This was because many of the indigenous people's shops would exchange for a lot of resources in one go when they came here to make purchases. They mistakenly thought that Zi Chen was a manager of the shops. It's just that they found it strange that so many high-quality armors were exchanged at once. This was because ordinary divines couldn't afford to exchange for such armors. Those who had the ability to do so were already qualified to enter this place. Saint Rentoin, it's you! At this moment, an indifferent voice sounded. An indigenous person walked over with a smirk on his face. Where did you get the contribution points to exchange for so many things at once? Zi Chen didn't know who this person was, so he naturally ignored him. The other party said again, I heard that you recently got a good job, but you don't have to make so many contributions, do you? Did the St. Luen family arrange for you to manage the shops here? But the things you bought don't seem to be of any use. Don't expect those stupid gods to be able to afford them. This kind of thing shouldn't need you, Rosa, to care about, right? Zi Chen, who had transformed into Saint Rentoin, said plainly. He was communicating with the real Saint Rentoin through telepathy. He was still collecting items because he had exchanged too many resources. Interesting, but you're suddenly exchanging for these useless things. Did you discover their value? And there are so many armors. Did the St. Luen family do something big again? The indigenous person named Rosa said again, looking at Zi Chen suspiciously. Zi Chen still ignored him. Saint Rentoin, you don't seem to be normal. Rosa tilted his head and looked at Zi Chen. At this time, Zi Chen was very nervous. He couldn't be bothered with the other party. His eyes were fixed in front of him. It wasn't until he collected the last ancestral steel that he breathed a sigh of relief. Chi, do I know you that well? After collecting all the resources, Zi Chen glanced at the other party and turned to leave. You! Rosa stood there, looking at Zi Chen's back as he left. His expression gradually became cold. When Zi Chen left, his body emitted a light. It was a contribution token. However, he had used up all his contribution points. He exchanged all the remaining points for the God King's soul essence. Heavenbreaker once said that if he wanted to make a move, he would need 8 or 10 pieces of God King's soul essence. The number of God King's soul essence that Zichen had was enough for Heavenbreaker to make a move many times. After transforming with Saint Rentoin again, Saint Rentoin walked out. He left the trading castle and walked toward the city. He swept past a corner, and a ray of light disappeared beside him. Not long after, his clone, Su Mengyao, and the others passed by. The ray of light that Zichen was hiding merged with his clone. Everyone didn't show any strange behavior and walked toward their residence. How was it? After returning to their residence, Su Mengyao asked Zichen. Zichen nodded and revealed an excited smile. They're all here. Next, he took out the remaining sword ancestor steel and gave it to Wang Xianer. The spear ancestor steel was given to Lei Ting. As for the shield ancestor steel and ancestor steel, he could only keep them since Tyrant and Zhang Haotian weren't around. Everything is here. Shall we leave now? Devil Ape asked. Did you meet anyone else? Su Mengyao asked. I met someone, but he's not familiar with Saint Rentoin. There shouldn't be any problem. Zichen thought for a while and said, Now, we're definitely being watched closely by many forces. If we leave now, it'll arouse suspicion. Let's wait for 2 days. If the situation gets tense, we'll leave immediately. Of course, no one had any objections. After an hour, Zichen heard a commotion coming from outside. Hearing this, Zichen's expression changed slightly. He released his spiritual thoughts. After seeing what was happening outside, his expression changed drastically. Devil Ape and the others noticed the abnormality and appeared in front of Zichen one after another. You guys hide for a while. Zichen opened his world and put everyone away. At the same time, his body flashed and many doppelgangers appeared. These doppelgangers took on the appearance of others and stayed where they were. Zichen, get out here. A cold voice came from outside the door. The door opened, and Zichen walked out. Looking at these unfamiliar natives, he said coldly, Do you want to die? I think you're the one who wants to die. Tell me, are you in cahoots with Saint Rentoin? Zichen narrowed his eyes. Do you want to die? The other party sneered. You still won't admit it? Look, we've brought him here, and he's confessed everything. The crowd parted, and Saint Rentoin was carried forward. At this moment, his face was full of blood. Obviously, he had suffered a lot. Looking at Saint Rentoin, Zichen frowned and said, Are you guys crazy? Why did you come here after beating him up? Chapter 30-101. You're talking about that place. I did go there today. Zichen looked up at the castle in the sky. At this time, many divine generals had gathered in the distance. Of course, they were here to watch the show. No one dared to interfere with the indigenous people's affairs. You don't have to make jokes in front of us. We've already found out that you colluded with Saint Rentoin and went to the core trading place to exchange for a large number of God King's soul essences, defensive armor, and many ancient tablets passed down from ancient times. The one who spoke was a young man. He was only a level 3, but his attitude toward Zichen was very rude. The other Protoss around were extremely shocked when they heard that. The core trading place was their dream. It was said that there were many resources there and they were extremely cheap. I don't know what you're talking about, Zichen said lightly. Of course, he would not admit it. Besides, he did not believe that Saint Rentoin would admit it. Don't try to fool me. Hand over the things now, and I'll let bygones be bygones. The other party said coldly. Zichen looked at the Wang Sanpin and said, You're just a level 3. Where did you get the courage to talk to me like that? He glanced around. Those who followed him were also level 3 and level 4. Of course, he would not take them seriously. Saint Rentoin was injured and did not say a word at the moment. You're courting death. The Wang Sanpin's eyes flashed coldly. The other indigenous people around spread out and surrounded Zichen. Zichen frowned and looked at the other party. He said, Do you really want to die? You're the one courting death. As soon as the Wang Sanpin finished speaking, he rushed toward Ziqin. The light of energy surged on his body, and his eyes were full of murderous intent. A sharp blade slashed toward Ziqin's head. Exclamations rose again. All the Protoss were surprised that the other party dared to attack. Moreover, it was a level 3 versus a level 4. Ziqin attacked. Golden light surged in front of him. Wang Sanpin, who was full of murderous intent, was frightened. He blocked with his weapon. With a loud bang, the weapon broke. The Wang Sanpin coughed up blood and flew backward. "How dare you attack in the city? You're courting death." Wang Sanpin, who was sent flying, shouted loudly. At the same time, the indigenous people who had surrounded Ziqin were only at level 3 or 4. Instead of attacking, they all retreated. He retreated again and again until he was out of the battlefield. The gods in the distance were dumbfounded. They did not understand what these natives were doing. Right at this moment, a cold and fierce voice resounded. "You dare make a move in the city? You're courting death." A person flew over from afar. His body surged with the aura of a rank 5. He held a long saber tightly in his hand and slashed forward. The saber radiance shot out from the tip of the saber, drawing an arc as it slashed towards Ziqin. Ziqin snorted coldly. He clenched his right fist and punched out. A dazzling golden light shone on his fist, as if he was holding a golden sun. Boom! The energy trembled, and the saber radiance shattered. Powerful shock waves spread out in all directions. The battle here attracted the attention of many Protoss. It was the first time they dared to fight in the city. After shattering the saber light with one punch, Ziqin's figure soared into the sky and then rushed toward the rank 5. The rank 5's eyes shone with a cold light. He slashed again. The saber radiance slashed down, but it only destroyed an afterimage. In the next moment, a huge force landed on his body and sent him flying. Ziqin was in the realm of a rank 4 king. In the hundreds of years at the lower level, not only did he comprehend the saber will to the rank 4 level, but he also comprehended the extreme speed to the same level. The rank 5's body flew backward. In his cold eyes there was a touch of horror. Swish! Right at this moment, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed that Ziqin had come to his side again. What a fast speed! His expression changed. He forcibly steadied his body. Then he turned the blade in his hand and slashed horizontally at Ziqin. The saber radiance slashed past. The sound of air breaking rang out. It was another afterimage. Here! Ziqin came behind the rank 5 again and punched out. Energy roared. The rank 5 coughed up blood and flew out. In the distance, the Protoss looked ahead in shock. A mere rank 4 could deal with a rank 5 so easily. Bang! Bang! The sound of energy vibrations kept ringing. The rank 5 screamed again and again. He was constantly sent flying by Ziqin. Saint Rentoin looked at the scene. His expression was also extremely shocked. It was one thing to guess that Ziqin was powerful. It was another thing to actually see it. What are you waiting for? Come out and kill me. The rank 5, who was sent flying again and again, shouted angrily. In other places, the aura of a rank 5 appeared again. This rank 5, who had been suppressed by Ziqin, sneered at this moment. He thought that he could suppress Ziqin like this. Little did he know that such an action would lead him to death. At first, Ziqin was still considering whether to kill or not. He was still hesitating. Now that he saw the others, he made up his mind. With the last punch, the light of thunder burst out and poured into the rank 5's body. The rank 5 coughed up blood and never stood up again. He was dead. In the distance, there were constant cries of alarm. A rank 5 was killed. Naturally, this matter would not end well. Ziqin stood indifferently. Aborigines appeared around him. He did not know if they had discussed it beforehand. Those who came were all rank 5s. There were 4 rank 5s. Looking at these four approaching aborigines, Zi Chen's expression was turning cold little by little. "Since you're courting death, don't blame me for being rude." A Chongdao appeared in his hand. A powerful aura erupted from his body. A rank for killing a rank. 5 was like a rank 1 killing a rank 2. It was even easier than that, because he had awakened his power. Under the circumstances where he could use the heaven-defying rule power, he did not care about opponents who were only 1 level higher. He dashed forward, disappeared, flashed and slashed. Buzz! The void trembled. The saber light stretched far away like a waterfall. Zi Chen's figure was indifferently in the air. In front of him, the body of a rank 5 was separated. Out of 4 rank 5s, 1 was killed in an instant. The other 3 rank 5s trembled in their hearts. "You're courting death." Zi Chen's voice was cold. His body was surging with murderous intent. Everyone felt a penetrating chill. They could not help but shudder. Golden light shone. Zi Chen dashed forward and faced other opponents again. "Stop!" A loud shout came from afar. A stronger aura emerged. It was a rank 6. Zi Chen did not know this rank 6. Naturally, this person was an enemy. He did not stop. The murderous intent on his body grew stronger. As if teleporting, he came in front of a rank 5 in an instant. The saber light continued to slash. The light of thunder shone in the sky. A powerful aura emerged. The light flashed 3 times in a row. Blood splattered in the air like a bloody rain. 3 rank 5 aborigines died a violent death one after another. Chapter 3102. Saint Rentoy knew what Zi Chen had done in the lower levels. He knew that he was very strong. Among those of the same rank, there was almost no one who could match him. However, seeing Zi Chen kill the enemy today, only then did he know how strong Zi Chen was. He could even kill a rank 5. Moreover, looking at the current situation, Zi Chen killing a rank 5 was a complete massacre. As such, it would be useless no matter how many rank 5 came. Hence, a rank 6 appeared. However, before the rank 6 reached the scene, the battle was already over. "You're courting death." The rank 6 shouted angrily, striking a blow at Zi Chen. Boom! Intense energy collided, forming waves that scattered everywhere. This rank 6 blow was stopped by someone. It was Bo Yuan. Amidst the energy turbulence, his robes flapped loudly. "Carmen, what are you doing?" The rank 6 named Carmen stared coldly at Bo Yuan, saying angrily, "Open your eyes wide. Can't you see what's happening? This guy is killing people in the city, breaking the rules. I have to kill him. Zi Chen won't kill people for no reason." "Of course, there's a reason for this," Bo Yuan said. "There's a reason for killing people." Carmen's expression was cold. Zi Chen listened to the conversation between the two in front of him, his expression unchanged. Everything was based on strength. Now he did not have strong strength, and neither did Bo Yuan. Even if there was a reason, it would become unreasonable. Moreover, everyone knew that all of this only required a single reason. "Bo Yuan, are you really going to stop me?" Carmen stared at Bo Yuan. "He's a member of Iron Sword. If anything happens, we'll take responsibility," Bo Yuan said in a low voice. "You're really not going to let me?" The coldness in Carmen's eyes grew. "Unless you can kill me," Bo Yuan said indifferently. Carmen smiled mockingly. "Die." A fierce light appeared from afar, heading straight for Zi Chen. Zi Chen unsheathed the Chongdao in his hand, slashing toward the sky. The 2 attacks met. Zi Chen's body flew backward. Another person appeared. This person was a rank 6. "Saint Rentoy, you want to fight too?" Bo Yuan turned around, shouting at the second rank 6. "He killed people in the city. I can't stand it. Of course, I have to deal with it. Bu Yuan, are you trying to stop me?" The rank 6 named Saint Lenges glanced at Carmen and said indifferently, "Then you have to get past Carmen first." With that, he charged towards Zi Chen with his sword in hand. At the same time, the rank 6 named Cayman charged toward Bo Yuan. Looking at the charging St. Lawrence, Zi Chen unsheathed his long saber, and lightning illuminated the sky. Whoosh! He rushed forward and drew his saber. Clang! St. Lawrence blocked the attack with his sword and mocked disdainfully, "A mere 4th stage wants to deal with a 6th stage?" As the energy collided, Zi Chen's body was pushed back. Whoosh! Zi Chen's body came to a halt as he retreated, and the afterimage he left behind was shattered by the shock waves in all directions. Saint Lenges slightly frowned. A beam of light appeared beside him. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth as he slashed with his sword. The sword light streaked across the sky and destroyed a shadow. Looking at the disappearing afterimage in front of him, Saint Lenges' expression didn't change as he slashed again. Whoosh! 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 He slashed several times in succession, destroying several afterimages. Zi Chen didn't find a chance to attack, and Saint Lenges couldn't attack Zi Chen when he appeared. His body retreated and appeared in the distance. Not far away, the battle between Bo Yuan and Carmen erupted. Naturally, it was more intense than here, and the sound of explosions rang out continuously. "Is that all you've got?" Saint Lenges looked at Zi Chen mockingly. Lightning flashed on Zi Chen's body as he activated his thunder physique. Since he couldn't kill him with extreme speed, then he would fight him with his most powerful strength. He handed his long saber to his left hand and clenched his right hand into a fist as he charged forward. The power of thunder physique gathered toward his fist, and an extremely powerful aura was released. Feeling the power contained in Zi Chen's fist, Saint Lenges smiled coldly and activated an even stronger power on his long sword. The long sword slashed down, releasing a sharp aura. Zi Chen punched out and shouted, "Thunder explosion!" The fist collided with the long sword, and the power of thunder exploded instantly, forming a terrifying wave that swept across Saint Lenges. Zi Chen retreated, and there were a few more sword marks on his robe. The combat strength of a 6th rank was indeed powerful. He felt the pain from his skin, and the sword intent invaded his body through the wounds. The power of thunder flowed on the surface of his body, and the spirits that tried to destroy his vitality were instantly destroyed. The energy in front of him was turbulent, and Saint Lenges walked out. Compared to Zi Chen, he was in a much more sorry state. His robe was tattered, and there were still remnants of the power of thunder on his body. When the Protoss and natives in the distance saw the scene, they were extremely shocked. Zi Chen was only a 4th rank, but he could make a 6th rank so miserable. "I'm going to kill you." The 6th rank Saint Lenges roared and rushed toward Zi Chen. Zi Chen rushed forward with his saber and slashed down. Clang! The two of them fought, and powerful auras kept surging. Zi Chen was fighting against a 6th rank alone, and he was not at a disadvantage at all. After all, Zi Chen was only a 4th rank. If he broke through to the 5th rank, wouldn't he be able to crush a 6th rank? Once he reached the 6th rank, wouldn't he be able to crush a 7th rank? Looking at the two of them fighting, everyone was extremely shocked. As for Saint Lenges, he was extremely excited. He was caught earlier, so he naturally would not admit it, because if he did not admit it, he still had a chance to live. If he admitted it, he would only die. Then they tricked Zi Chen with words, and Zi Chen did not fall for it, which made him feel relieved. Fortunately, their purpose was not to investigate this matter. Instead, it was to fight. Buyuan and Carmen had not decided the winner yet, because both of them were holding back, just to restrain each other. During this time, Buyuan transmitted his voice to Zi Chen. "Find a way to leave. We may not be able to protect you." Slash! A loud shout came from the front, and a powerful aura burst out from Saint Lenges' long sword. At the same time, Zi Chen also made a strong move, and his strongest saber slashed down. When the saber fell, a heavy aura emerged, and 4 rays of light appeared on the saber light. That was the aura released by the ancestral steels that had merged into it. With a roar, Zi-Chen retreated. In front of him, the 6th rank Saint Lenges had a deep wound on his chest, and the power of thunder was raging in the wound. Looking at the wound on his chest, Saint Lenges' eyes became violent. At this moment, the void trembled, and the saber ancestor steels appeared one after another, enveloping the surroundings. At the same time, the saber ancestor steels that had merged into Zi-Chen's saber reappeared. 9 saber ancestor steels occupied 9 positions, forming a saber realm. This was a complete saber realm. Zi-Chen, who was in the realm, felt the excitement from the saber, and the long saber in his hand trembled with excitement. Slash! Zi-Chen shouted, and the long saber in his hand slashed down instantly. The saber light, enhanced by the saber realm, slashed toward the 6th rank Saint Lenges like a waterfall. Chapter 3103. The saber domain was transparent, so everyone could see what was happening in the domain. Their expressions changed again when they saw that the 6th rank Saint Lenges chose to defend. Golden light was released from the domain, and the crowd watching the battle in the distance was so dazzling that they subconsciously closed their eyes. The intense golden light burst out, making it impossible to see what was happening in the field. The battle between Bo Yuan and Carmen stopped, and they both turned their heads and looked at this side. The saber domain didn't disappear, and the golden light in it gradually dissipated. When the golden light disappeared and they could finally see what was happening in the domain, there was an uproar immediately. There was only one person standing in the saber domain at this moment, and it was Zi-Chen. As for the 6th rank king, Saint Lenges, he had fallen down. His body was motionless, and he was obviously dead. A 4th rank had killed a 6th rank. How was this possible? No one dared to believe this scene, even if they saw it with their own eyes. Saint Lenges, whose face was covered in blood and injured, became more and more excited. The stronger Zi-Chen was, the greater his chances of success in the future. According to the fact that Zi-Chen could kill a 6th rank when he was only a 4th rank, as long as Zi-Chen advanced again, he might be able to threaten a 7th rank. After all, a 7th rank was the strongest in this world. Bo Yuan's eyes were also full of surprise. He himself was a 6th rank, and he didn't expect Zi-Chen to be able to kill an expert of this level who was 2 ranks higher. Carmen said in a deep voice, "At this point, what are you waiting for?" As his voice fell, more light appeared in the surroundings. 6th rank. All of them were 6th rank. It was no longer 1 or 2, but more than 10. These 6th rank auras were all different. Some were holding weapons, and some were followed by soul beasts. Obviously, they were from different families. Seeing this scene, Zi-Chen knew that these natives were in cahoots. Break it! A 6th rank quickly stepped forward, holding a heavy hammer in his hand. The hammer smashed down like a mountain, hitting the saber domain. With a loud bang, the saber domain collapsed, and the 9 saber ancestor steels disappeared. Zi-Chen's figure appeared. He looked at the 6th rank craftsman and said, "The craftsman clan's Kong family?" The 6th rank cultivator with the giant hammer said coldly, "What? Do you still want to talk about your relationship with us?" Zi-Chen smiled coldly and said, "I don't have any friendship with you. Right now, I just want to make sure that it's your Kong clan. This way, when I take my revenge, I won't find the wrong target." What an arrogant brat! The other party snorted coldly and waved the giant hammer in his hand again, smashing it towards Zi-Chen. As the hammer fell, the power of the domain also suppressed Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen's expression didn't change. Lightning flashed around his body, directly dispersing the pressure. At the same time, he clenched his fist and attacked. Thunder explosion. Boom! The light of the fist met the heavy hammer. At the moment when the 2 sides collided, thunder exploded. Zi Qin slid backward. The rank 6 from the Kong tribe flew backward and stood side by side with the other rank 6. Both sides were only probing each other, and they did not fight to the death. St. Lawrence's body was still there. Naturally, they wouldn't underestimate Zi Qin. If they were to attack next, all of them would attack together. After stabilizing himself, Zi Qin looked at the rank 6 aborigines and said, "Is Hobbs' force here?" "Yes," a rank 6 said coldly. "What about the Money Clan?" Zi Qin asked again. "Of course, we won't let you go," another rank 6 said. Zi Qin smiled faintly and said, "The 3 lower-level forces of the 3 royal clans are all here, including the St. Lawrence clan. Tell me the names of the others. Every wrong has its perpetrator. Every debt has its debtor. I want to know who the enemy is." "Humph! What's the harm in telling you?" A cold snort sounded. "Perry clan. Wayne clan. Connor clan. Jay clan." Voices sounded one after another. As expected, there were more than 10 rank 6 here, representing more than 10 clans. He had never heard of some of the clans, but he was familiar with some of them, such as the Perry clan. Moreover, Zi Qin could see that these clans were here not because the other clans were friendly to him, but because these clans were the first-tier clans in the city. Other than them, no other clans were qualified to attack him this time. Of course, if they killed him, the other clans wouldn't be able to touch the benefits they obtained. The Kong clan rank 6, who attacked earlier, looked at Zi Qin and said coldly, "If you know what's good for you, hand over the things you shouldn't have and we'll leave you with a complete corpse. Not only you, but also your friends will have a complete corpse." "What things?" Zi Qin looked at him and smiled mockingly. "Everything." They had all seen how St. Lengus had died. Those ancient steels that had been placed in the core trading place for a long time had not been discovered by anyone for many years. They didn't expect Zi Qin to show such a powerful side. Therefore, these ancient steels had to be left behind. However, their ultimate goal was still the dark heavenly ant and the final ant monarch. They were already aware of what had happened in the lower levels. The reason Zi Qin was able to suppress the natives in the lower levels was naturally because he controlled the dark heavenly ant. In this world, contribution points were the most important. If one obtained the dark heavenly ant, the contribution points one would obtain would be innumerable. This was really crucial for the development of one's force. This could be seen from the fact that Zi Qin was able to obtain over 10 million contribution points every time he left the city, even though he did not stay for long each time. After seeing Zi Qin use the ancient steels to fight, they had already concluded that the person who had gone to the core area to exchange for resources was Zi Qin. After all, other than Zi Qin, no one else in this world would want those useless things. As for whether he had colluded with St. Lawrence, no one was sure for the time being. Zi Qin looked at the Kong clan native and smiled faintly. "What if I don't hand it over?" "Then die." He dashed towards Zi Qin. At the same time, the others moved as well. After witnessing Zi Qin's strength, they naturally wanted to attack him together. Buzz! Looking at the crowd rushing towards him, the saber ancestor's steel that had disappeared earlier appeared again. It formed a saber realm and trapped everyone in it. "Everyone, let's join forces. He can't do anything to us," the rank 6 from the Kong clan said in a deep voice. Indeed, more than a dozen rank 6 experts joined forces to deal with a rank 4 expert. Even if the rank 4 expert's combat strength was unexpectedly strong, he could not do anything to them. If more than a dozen of them could not kill Zi Qin together, who could do anything to him? Hearing their voices, Zi Qin's expression did not change. 2 rays of light flew out from his body and turned into yin and yang doppelgangers. Light flew out from the yin and yang doppelgangers and merged in front of them to form yin and yang thunder lotuses. These thunder lotuses were only the size of a palm, but the speed of their formation was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, there were hundreds of them. Chapter 3104. In the Saber domain, hundreds of thunder lotuses appeared in an instant. These thunder lotuses were about the size of a palm. After they appeared, they flew toward the rank XS in front. These rank SXS had never seen such an attack. In their divine telekinesis perception, although these two-colored lotuses were not powerful, there were too many of them. Naturally, it was still very troublesome. Moreover, looking behind them, the yin-yang doppelganger was like a string of cannons, constantly releasing light. In just a breath, there were hundreds more thunder lotuses. In the blink of an eye, this saber domain, which was not very big, had thousands of thunder lotuses. These thunder lotuses were like bright lamps flying forward. The rank SXS looked at each other and saw the vigilance in each other's eyes. They did not rush forward rashly and took the initiative to form a defense. They wanted to watch first. At this moment, the thunder lotuses approached and then exploded. Boom! 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 Countless roars sounded in the saber domain. Dazzling strong light erupted again, but this time it was not saber light, but exploding thunder lotuses. The crowd could not hear the sound, but seeing the power of the thunder lotuses exploding, looking at the raging yin and yang energy, they could already feel the horror of this attack. Bo Yuan and Carmen no longer fought. The two of them only formed a distraction and looked at the battlefield at the same time. Yin and yang energy raged wildly. Dazzling strong light erupted. They could not see the situation in the domain. After a moment, the energy dissipated. They saw that the rank SXS were all standing there unscathed. This made them sigh in relief. Obviously, Zichen alone could not do anything to a group of people. In the saber domain, after the raging energy dissipated, these rank SXS shining with strong light moved forward again. At this moment, they felt an even stronger aura coming from the front. In front of Zichen, there was a thunder lotus floating. This time, there was only one thunder lotus. It no longer emitted the bright yin and yang light, but a very dark light. It had faintly turned black. Wave after wave of ripples spread out in all directions. Even the space within the domain became distorted. Sensing this fluctuation, all the rank SXS expressions changed greatly. Obviously, the power of this thunder lotus was more powerful and terrifying than the previous thousands of thunder lotuses. Zichen stared at the rank XS in front of him. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. With a thought, the yin and yang thunder lotus flew forward. Wang. The yin-yang lightning lotus trembled as it continued to expand. The surrounding space began to distort madly. Sensing the fluctuation, those grade 6 experts were horrified. The next moment, some grade 6 experts turned around and attacked the barrier of the saber domain. When the powerful attacks landed on the barrier, they only caused countless ripples. They were unable to break through. Damn it, how did this happen? A rank 6 scolded angrily. Earlier, the Kong family's attack had broken the domain. Why couldn't they break it now? With a thought, he controlled the soul beast to attack the thunder lotus. At that moment, the yin-yang lightning lotus had already expanded to the size of a mountain. The ripples that it constantly released prevented the soul beasts from approaching it. In fact, under the impact of the ripples, the soul beasts were forced to retreat instead of advancing. The yin-yang thunder lotus was too terrifying. These people felt a strong threat. Therefore, more rank 6 turned around and attacked the barrier of the domain. The powerful attack landed on the barrier, forming a terrifying might, but it still broke through the blade domain. At this moment, the yin-yang lightning lotus that was as large as a mountain arrived and exploded with a loud bang. After the explosion, the yin-yang lightning lotus completely covered the blade domain. The powerful energy wreaked havoc, forming an indiscriminate attack. Zichen had already retreated to the edge of the domain. His thunder body surged and formed a defense. He looked ahead with an extremely cold expression. As a rank 4, he had reawakened the power of rules. After using the power of yin and yang, his combat strength naturally became extremely powerful. However, he knew very well that it was impossible to kill more than a dozen rank 6 experts with this move. Therefore, when the energy was wreaking havoc, he who was near the edge of the domain looked up at the sky. There was a ray of light. The ray of light was like a seed that suddenly became bright. The seed sprouted, grew, and turned into a flower bud. Then, the flower bud bloomed and turned into a 2-colored lotus. Unlike the yin-yang lightning lotus from before, this 2-colored lotus was formed by the combination of yin and yang energy. It grew on its own and needed to rely on Zi Chen's own immense power to maintain it. At this moment, the 2-colored lotus was still in the void. The ripples that appeared vaguely had the intention of tearing the space apart. Even Zi Chen's blade domain had become unstable at this moment. With the improvement of his realm, after using the 2-colored lotus, the power formed by it became more and more terrifying. In the blade domain, the energy of the yin-yang lightning lotus had just dissipated. The figures of more than a dozen rank 6 experts appeared. As Zi Chen had expected, they were very embarrassed. However, their lives were not in danger. At the same time, after being attacked continuously, their faces revealed anger. However, in the next moment, this anger was directly replaced by panic, because another attack had appeared. This time, it was a lotus entwined with 2-colored light. It was vivid and lifelike, unlike the previous one, which was a forced fusion. Moreover, the aura released by this 2-colored lotus was increasingly terrifying. It made them feel the threat of death. Whoosh! The lotus began to rotate. A powerful aura circulated. During this time, the rotating lotus petals streaked across the sky, bringing up yellow ribbons. Before the energy of the 2-colored lotus exploded, Zi Chen directly withdrew from the blade domain. At the same time in his world, there was a powerful force which converged into the 9 saber ancestor steels. The saber ancestor steels released a strong light. The blade domain, which had been unstable because of the appearance of the 2-colored lotus, was stabilized again with the infusion of the world force. If the 9 saber ancestor steels had not gathered, Zi Chen's blade domain might have been broken at this moment. The 2-colored lotus rushed forward. Under the horrified expressions of more than a dozen rank 6 experts, it exploded directly. This was the 3rd energy explosion, each stronger than the last. And this time, Zi Chen directly withdrew from the blade domain because of this energy. Because this attack was indiscriminate and did not recognize people. It could even hurt him. He stood outside the blade domain, watching the energy of the exploding thunder lotus raging in the blade domain. The roar of energy could not be heard from the outside. So at this moment, the surroundings were extraordinarily quiet. However, in the blade domain there were constant screams. Chapter 3105. Everyone was staring at the saber domain in front of them. In the domain, the 9 saber ancestor steels were emitting bright light, forming a domain that was twisting. The yin and yang energy in it was constantly raging like a raging storm. As for the dozen or so rank 6 inside, they could not see them at all and did not know how they were doing. It was quiet all around. No one spoke. It seemed that even the sound of breathing had disappeared. They were petrified, but their minds were under great shock. Zi Chen stood outside the domain, looking at the domain in front of him coldly. The complete saber domain was very stable. In the past, the domain formed by the 8 saber ancestor steels would have exploded. In the domain, the energy was raging and screams were constantly heard. Zi Chen took a deep breath, held the long saber in his hand, and entered the saber domain again. Looking at Zi Chen, who disappeared again, the Protoss who seemed to be petrified woke up one by one and exclaimed loudly. The raging energy was dissipating, and its power was gradually weakening. Zi Chen, who came back to the domain, perceived the aura of the rank 6. Their aura was very weak, but not all of them were dead. Most of them were still alive. They deserved to be rank 6. They were 2 realms stronger than him and were indeed very difficult to kill. Fortunately, his combat strength was not damaged. Next, it was time to harvest. The strongest in this world was rank 7. Now that the rank 6 could not do anything to him, the next enemy was naturally rank 7. Therefore, before the rank 7 arrived, Zi-chan needed to collect some interest in advance. The thunderbolt on his body formed a defense. Zi-chan did not care about the raging energy and rushed directly into it, his long saber constantly unsheathed. The people outside naturally guessed what was happening inside, so they exclaimed one after another, "Sir, please do it!" On the other side, the shocked Carmen shouted loudly, his voice trembling. A saber light appeared from a distance and slashed directly at Zi-chen's saber domain. This saber was extremely powerful, and when it arrived, it released a terrible pressure. Chi! At the same time, a sword light flew from the other side. The sword light was sharp and fast, falling into the saber light. The 2 attacks met, and a powerful wave broke out. The buildings below were constantly collapsing, and countless smoke and dust flew up. No one had expected that this sudden and powerful strike would actually be blocked by a single sword. Because this attack was blocked, Zi-chan was able to successfully kill the other rank S. The energy in the territory disappeared. Zi-chen's figure appeared. In the huge territory, he was the only one standing. The other rank SXS were all dead. The surroundings were in an uproar. Everyone's minds were shaken. Saint Renton was very excited. He had placed his bet on Zi-chin this time. Once he grew up, it would be very easy for Zi-chin to support him as the head of the family in the future, as long as he was willing. Putting aside the dark heavenly ant that he controlled, his own combat strength was terrifying enough. However, at this moment, Zi-chan was clearly not out of danger yet. In other words, the real life and death crisis had just begun. This was because the rank 7s were here. Even though one of them was here to help Zi-chin, there was only one of them. 2 rank 7s appeared on both sides of Zi-chin. One held a saber, the other a sword. Then, Zi-chin noticed that he had seen the rank 7 god clan member with the sword before. It was the rank 7 god clan member he had seen at the core of the transaction site. He was stunned. Then he guessed the identity of the other party and was a little surprised. The other party attacked with a sword and helped him at this time. Obviously, he could only be the real boss of the force he was in. Iron Sword. Iron Sword, are you trying to stop me? A cold voice came from the front. It was the rank 7 god clan member with the saber. The rank 7 god clan member with a long sword in his hand said, "You've gone too far." Gone too far? The other party snorted and said, "He killed people in the city. Why do you say we've gone too far?" Iron Sword said, sarcastically, "Those who can come here are all shrewd people. There's no need for such a deliberate disguise. Do you think the God clan will take the initiative to attack you natives in their current situation?" The rank 7 God clan member was exposed directly. There was no anger on the rank 7 God clan member's face. He said calmly, "If that's the case, let's talk things out. We have to take the thing away." Iron Sword said in a deep voice, "With me here, you won't succeed. Just you alone." The rank 7 God clan member said. Iron Sword said, "And the God clan that I represent." The rank 7 God clan member laughed when he heard that. "You talk big. You want to represent the God clan. You can only represent your faction, Iron Sword. Moreover, you're going against us. I believe that many people will leave your faction. As for the other God clans, will they help you?" Iron Sword frowned and said nothing. "Iron Sword, you're just one person. Don't interfere." An old voice sounded. A person flew over. At this moment, he dared to call a rank 7 God clan member by his name. Obviously, this person was also a rank 7. "This world is ours. We gave you the chance to awaken and gave you resources to grow. You should be satisfied and not cause trouble for us here. Another voice sounded. The second Rank 7 God clan member had arrived. 3 Rank 7 God clans appeared on the side of the natives. However, Iron Sword was still the only one from the God clan. Iron Sword, you're no match for us. If you persist, you'll die. A 4th God clan member appeared. Iron Sword said in a deep voice, Even if I die, I can kill one person. These people came from different clans. He believed that no one would be willing to be the first to die. So what? Won't it be fine as long as more people surround you? More Rank 7 God clans appeared, one after another. There were more than a dozen of them. Just like the Rank 6 God clans before, these Rank 7 God clans also came from those big clans. Their purpose was very simple. It was for the Dark Heavenly Ant. However, at the same time, they were also here for the ancient tablet that Zi-Chin had just obtained. This was because they did not know the value of the ancient tablet before. Now they knew. More than a dozen Rank 7 God clans that were rarely seen appeared together. They demonstrated the absolute strength of the clans. Opposite them, Iron Sword was the only one from the God clan. It was not that the God clan did not have any powerhouses. It was just that no one was willing to interfere. Iron Sword smiled. There was bitterness and sadness in his smile. He said, Actually, we're not weaker than them. He did not know who he was talking to. No one responded to him. Kid, this thing can't stop us. Come out and die quickly. A strong man said to Zi-Chin, who was in the domain. Zi-Chan withdrew the domain and put away the Saber Ancestors tablet. He looked at these Rank 7 God clans. Hand over what we want. Then, we'll leave you with an intact corpse. You don't have to bargain. We won't let you live if you want to. The strong man continued. He was telling the truth. Even if they could not get what they wanted today, they would not let Zi-Chin live. Zi-Chan was too scary. A Rank 4 could kill a Rank 6. If he was allowed to grow, then he alone would become the nightmare of all the God clans. Okay. Zi-Chin nodded and agreed readily. Such a scene stunned everyone. Was he giving up resistance, just like that? However, there were so many Rank 7 God clans. Zi-Chin, a Rank 4, had no chance of turning the tables. Death was the best choice. Chapter 3106. What appeared in Zi-Chen's hand was a longbow. The longbow looked very quaint. It was a very old object. There were many beings in the field who did not know the reason. After seeing the longbow, they were slightly startled. They all guessed that these natives had made such a big fuss just for this bow. There were also many Protoss who knew the purpose of these natives. At this moment, after seeing Zi-Chin take out this longbow, they were very surprised. This bow was naturally transformed by Patian. Previously, in the blade domain, Zi-Chin had awakened Patian. This was his biggest trump card and the only thing he could rely on. Seeing Zi-Chin take out this longbow, the expressions of the Rank 7s did not change much. They had already guessed that Zi-Chin was not willing to give up, just like that. The longbow turned over, and the power of the thunder body erupted. Zi-Chin's expression instantly became cold. He lowered his waist and exerted force, yelling as he drew the bow. The energy in the surroundings began to surge. A vortex appeared from the longbow, and the spiritual power of the entire city began to converge toward the vortex. For a moment, the wind and clouds were surging. The Rank 7s who did not care about Zi-Chen's last struggle at first were all shocked after sensing the fluctuation of this aura. You want my things? Sure. I can kill one person with this arrow. Let's see who chooses to die. Zi-Chen's expression became extremely cold. He immediately exerted force to draw the longbow. Even with the thunder body, it was still a bit strenuous. The spiritual energy between heaven and earth gathered on the longbow, turning into a feather arrow. A terrifying aura was released from the feather arrow. At this moment, everyone's expression changed greatly because of this change. After Zi-Chen aimed the longbow at the rank 7s, all of them involuntarily stepped back. The dangerous aura filled the surroundings. No one dared to ignore it. "You can do this." Saint Rentoine was extremely shocked. He did not expect Zi-Chen to have such a terrifying thing on him. Immediately, a look of ecstasy appeared on his face because this way, Zi-Chen had hope of escaping. Iron Sword was also very surprised. A smile appeared on his face. With this move, Zi-Chen might really be able to escape. At this moment, Zi-Chen did not use this arrow to threaten those rank 7s. Instead, he released the arrow directly. Whoa! The bowstring trembled, the arrow shooting out, heading straight for a 7th rank. Pum! The arrow pierced through the 7th rank in an instant. With a huge tremor, this 7th rank's body exploded, blood raining down. When the other rank 7s saw this, their expressions changed again. They felt extremely lucky and planned to continue rushing toward Zi-Chen. Pum! At this moment, the arrow that flew out actually turned back and pierced through the body of the 2nd rank 7. The body of the 7th rank cultivator exploded as well. His screams resounded throughout the world. After killing 2 rank 7s in a row, this arrow made entirely of energy actually did not disappear. It continued to fly towards the 3rd rank 7s. This rank 7's expression changed greatly, continuously retreating. Right now, everyone was staring at Feather Jian and those rank 7s. No one paid any attention to Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen's body immediately rose into the air and flew up into the sky. There was a defender formation in the sky. It was impossible to escape. He came to the bottom of the light shield and looked coldly at the panicked rank 7s below. Whoosh! At this moment, an arrow pierced through the clouds and flew directly toward the top of Zi-Chen's head. The arrow landed on the light shield in the sky. A ripple appeared in the sky. Then, the ripple expanded and turned into a passageway. How could an arrow break the defender formation? Seeing this, Zi-Chen's eyes revealed a touch of joy. The next moment, he rushed into the passageway. Everyone, Zi-Chen will remember today's hospitality in his heart. When I return in the future, I will definitely treat everyone well. In the sky, Zi-Chen's voice sounded. Then his figure disappeared in the passageway. At the same time, the shocked crowd below came to their senses. They looked up at the sky and saw the passageway that was about to disappear. There was an uproar and exclamation. Those rank 7s did not immediately pursue. Instead, they stood where they were and stared in front of them in disbelief. Kong Tua, you're still alive? Kima, weren't you killed by an arrow? I clearly saw that you were the one who died, and so was Locke. No, I saw you die. Those rank 7s spoke, one after another. Their faces were full of shock. It's an illusion. The true power of that arrow was not to kill the enemy. It was an illusion. After a moment, those rank 7s came to their senses. Then they were all very annoyed. Obviously, these powerful rank 7s had been tricked by Zi-Chen. Earlier, no one died. The power of that arrow was not as strong as they thought. Then they looked up at the sky. Being able to break the defender formation in one arrow was even more terrifying. Sir, what's going on? Bo Yuan came to Tai Jian's side in a flash. This time, when the Aborigines attacked Zi-Chen, all the Shin clan experts chose to remain silent. Only Bo Yuan and Tai Jian stood on Zi-Chen's side. Now that Zi-Chen had successfully escaped, Bo Yuan was very happy. Tai Jian looked at the place where Zi-Chen disappeared and said, "The defender formation was not damaged. That attack should be some kind of divine ability that broke through space. It does not mean that it has a strong attack power." Then, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. However, since it was unexpected, no one was able to detect it. Even I was fooled earlier. Wherever the arrow passed, the rank 7's bodies exploded. When he saw this scene earlier, he could not calm down. He was extremely shocked. How could he calm down to see if this was real or an illusion? It could be said that Zi Chen had tricked them and then successfully escaped. Soon, the others also understood this point. The uproar became even more intense. An imperceptible smile appeared at the corner of Saint Rentoin's mouth. Today, Zi Chen had successfully escaped. Then, next, he would wait patiently for Zi Chen's return. It was so close. Don't just stand there. Quickly send people out of the city to encircle and annihilate Zi Chen. Don't worry. Zi Chen's friends are still here. Capture them directly. After a brief shock, these rank 7s immediately gave the order. However, there was no one at the place where Zi Chen originally lived. All their companions had disappeared. One by one, the Aborigines had to fly out of the city. At the same time, many Shin clan forces also left the city and began to look for Zi Chen. Whether it was the Aborigines or the Shun clan, they all faintly felt that the structure of this world was about to change. Because Zi Chen's combat strength was too strong. If they could not kill him now, when he became stronger again, they would not be able to kill him even if they wanted to. After breaking the defender formation with one arrow, Zi Chen arrived outside the city. The next moment, he chose to teleport. This time, the teleportation belonged to the long-distance category. He went directly to 10,000 miles away. Then he teleported again. After teleporting more than 10 times in a row, Zi Chen was more than 100,000 miles away. However, he still felt that it was not complete, so he teleported again and again. He did not stop until he was 1,000,000 miles away and could no longer encounter the Shin clan. Chapter 3107. The creatures from the other space-time were of different levels. After seeing them, a smile appeared on Zi Chen's face. He'd teleported millions of kilometers away. It would be very difficult for those 7th-rank creatures to find him. He was safe. He flashed back to the real world and saw the heavenly beast named Heavenbreaker. He was lying on a mountain peak with his eyes closed. It was unknown whether he was asleep or not. "Sir, can you deal with 7th-rank creatures?" Zi Chen asked politely. Zi Chen had seen everything that had happened. Those 7th-rank creatures hadn't been killed in real life. The real arrow hadn't come into contact with the 7th-rank creatures at all. That arrow had only opened up a path to the outside of the city. They're merely 7th-rank creatures. I can kill them with a bow. Heavenbreaker said disdainfully as he opened one of his eyes. He said it so casually. Zi Chen clearly didn't believe him. Heavenbreaker saw Zi Chen's doubtful expression. His tone became displeased. "What, do you think I'm lying?" Zi Chen said. "If you can kill them with a bow, then why did we run out? Wouldn't it be better to just kill them with one arrow after another?" Heavenbreaker looked at Zi Chen with a mocking expression. "I really don't care about those 7th-rank creatures. However, there's something strange about that city. Once they control the formation, they can trap me, even if they can't kill me. If I'm trapped, then you can only die. So you're doing this for me?" "Of course." Zi Chen didn't know if Heavenbreaker's words could be trusted, so he said again, "I plan to stay here for a while. If 7th-rank creatures suddenly come looking for me, then it'll be very troublesome." Heavenbreaker said angrily, "You don't believe me? Go and bring me the crystals. I'll give you 10 each time." Zi Chen took out 10 God King Soul Essences. He had a lot of them now, so he didn't feel the pinch at all. Heavenbreaker opened his mouth and swallowed the God King Soul Essences without saying anything else. Zi Chen relaxed and turned to leave. Evidently, Heavenbreaker really did have the ability to kill a 7th-rank cultivator. Completely relieved, Zi Chen provided everyone with resources to refine and strive to break through. At the same time, he also distributed the armor he had bought from the core exchange to everyone. He was very glad that he had put everyone away at the first moment. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the time to take everyone away when he was in a hurry to escape. After that, he released the dark heavenly ants. Next, they were going to hunt down the creatures from the alternate dimension. Earning contribution points was secondary. They needed to grow, and the queen ant needed to break through. They were millions of miles away from the city, so they wouldn't be able to find them anytime soon. Therefore, Chen was very safe right now. He sat cross-legged on a mountain peak and began to refine the godly king's soul essence. The contribution token was placed on his lap, and the light constantly changed. The few remaining contribution tokens on it began to rapidly increase. Chen didn't want to waste any more time. He needed to break through as soon as possible because he wasn't sure when Tyrant and the others would come to this floor. If they came earlier, they would definitely be captured by the natives and used to blackmail him. The dark heavenly ants were densely packed, and their numbers could be said to be endless. Under the control of the Ant King, they traversed underground. Only when they discovered creatures from another space-time that they could deal with would they emerge from underground and encircle those creatures. The queen ant was in Chen's world. His world was in a state of unfolding. The Ant King of the dark heavenly ants was constantly leaving the battlefield and passing through the world passage to the queen ant. They then broke down the resources and gave them to the queen ant. After the queen ant devoured these resources, part of it would reproduce, while the other part would absorb and break through. Heavenbreaker was on a mountain peak, not far away. He could see the queen ant as soon as he opened his eyes. Every time he saw the queen ant, there would be a hint of disdain in his eyes. Although the queen ant was Heavenbreaker's neighbor, they had never interacted before. Every time the queen ant saw Heavenbreaker, she would feel fear from the bottom of her heart. She couldn't avoid such an existence and couldn't take the initiative to interact with him. If possible, she would even want to move to another place. When Heavenbreaker was free, he would walk around Chen's world. Everything he saw was extremely disdainful, until one day he broke through a space and saw the godly king soul essences that Chen had exchanged for. His expression was no longer filled with disdain. His eyes lit up as he swallowed them. He didn't know how many godly king soul essences he had swallowed until Chen appeared in a flash and glared at Heavenbreaker. Heavenbreaker smacked his lips and said, "Kid, you're not bad. You actually hid so many crystals. Why didn't you take them out earlier?" "I have a use for all of them," Chen said. "Nonsense. Who takes crystals just to look good? Cut the crap. I need half," Heavenbreaker said directly. "No, we have a lot of people. We need these things to break through." Chen shook his head and refused decisively. He had hidden very deeply in this space. He didn't expect Heavenbreaker to discover him and break through it easily. Even the laws couldn't stop him. However, considering that Heavenbreaker could even break through the protective spell formation, it didn't seem like a big deal for him to open up an internal passageway in his world. Heavenbreaker narrowed his eyes at the sight of Chen's stubborn attitude and said, "I heard that you want to leave this place." "What does that have to do with you?" Chen looked at Heavenbreaker. "Master Heavenbreaker can even break through this space. Do you think this matter has anything to do with me?" Heavenbreaker asked. Chen's expression changed slightly upon hearing this. "You mean you can break through this world?" "I think so." Heavenbreaker's voice was filled with uncertainty. However, his eyes were fixed on the godly king's soul essences. Chen instantly guessed his meaning. He said indifferently, "Don't say that you're not sure. Even if you are, it's useless. I'll naturally be able to leave once I reach the 8th rank." Heavenbreaker smiled and said, "Go to the next level." "What do you mean by the next level?" Chen asked in confusion. "Are you sure that you'll be able to return to where you want to go after you reach the 8th rank? Perhaps you'll be able to go to the next level, and then one level after another. You'll never be able to return." Heavenbreaker looked at Chen. Chen furrowed his brows and stared intently at Heavenbreaker. Heavenbreaker once again revealed an expression of disdain. "Don't try to play tricks in front of me. I'll tell you one thing. I'll help you leave this level, and you'll give me all these crystals. Without these things, we won't be able to break through. When enemies come, we can only die." Zi Chen said with dissatisfaction. "Since you already knew that you wanted these things, why didn't you go kill some powerful creatures from another space? As long as you have enough contribution points, you can exchange for these things without limit in that core trade area." Heavenbreaker stared at Zi Chen and bared his teeth in dissatisfaction. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" The man and beast began to argue. Zi Chen naturally couldn't give all of the godly king soul essences to Heavenbreaker. However, Heavenbreaker's ability to break through this world was still very tempting to Zi Chen. Perhaps he really would be able to borrow Heavenbreaker's power to leave. In the end, the two of them reached an agreement. Heavenbreaker would take a third of the crystals and give the rest to Zi Chen when he returned to the city. Chapter 3108. A month had passed. During this month, Zi Chen did not fight as he was refining the Supreme God's soul essence. All the battles were handed over to the dark heavenly ant. Zi Chen did not fight at all, but the contribution points he received were in the tens of millions. A month's time was not enough for the people in the city to search 1,000,000 miles away. Moreover, there were still many creatures from the other space-time to deal with along the way. Soon, 2 months had passed. On this day, a powerful aura came from Zi Chen's world. The aura came from the queen ant. Its body expanded once again, and there was a powerful fluctuation coming from its body. Patian, who was sleeping on the mountain peak, felt the fluctuation. He opened his eyes and took a glance at the queen ant before he continued to sleep. In a flash, Zi Chen came to the queen ant's side. The queen ant had advanced to grade 5. It had been stagnant at grade 4 for many years and had reached the peak long ago. Therefore, it made a breakthrough in a short period of time after coming to this world. Congratulations. Looking at the queen ant, Zi Chen said with a smile. A ray of light flew out from the queen ant's forehead and turned into a human lady. She was looking at Zi Chen. Zi Chen looked at the woman in tight black clothes in front of him, and then looked at the queen ant in front of him with a puzzled expression. "This is my clone. She can help me control the dark heavenly ant," the queen ant said. Zi Chen nodded. Although the queen ant was able to control the dark heavenly ants, it had always been giving orders. However, it was unable to see what the dark heavenly ants were doing. Now that it had this clone, it was able to see the dark heavenly ants with its own eyes. "Do you want to go out and take a look?" Zi Chen asked. "Yes." The clone nodded. Zi Chen opened up his world. The lady in black left in a flash and went to the outside world. She saw the dark heavenly ant fighting below. They were densely packed, and they extended to the end of the world. The dark heavenly ant was like a pioneer. In the past few months, they had moved far away. There were no longer any dark heavenly ant alive. During this period, Shadowless went out to investigate, but did not find the nest that gave birth to the creatures from the other space-time. Zi Chen's contribution token was then handed over to the Ant Queen's clone. She had her own name, Paji. Paji took Zi Chen's token and followed beside Zi Chen. Occasionally, she would go to the periphery to check on the situation of the dark heavenly ants. Zi Chen sat cross-legged on the mountain peak, cultivating. Paji stood to the side, occasionally venturing out. She was very curious about this world. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. During this half a year, Paji had been following Zi Chen as if she was his bodyguard. One day, Paji, who usually only spoke when Zi Chen woke up, suddenly said, "Dark heavenly ants discovered humans." Zi Chen opened his eyes when he heard the sound. A glint flashed across his eyes. In less than a year, even if he continuously refined the godly king soul essence, it was not enough for him to break through. "Who is it?" Zi Chen asked. Paji shook her head, indicating that she could not tell who the dark heavenly ants were. However, the other party had already discovered the dark heavenly ants. bring the dark heavenly ants into the world. I'll go and take a look, Zichen said and headed in the direction that Paji pointed. Since they were discovered, they had to leave as the enemy would arrive at an extremely fast speed. Pa-Ji gestured for the dark heavenly ants to enter the world that Zichen had unfolded. Zichen teleported to the place where the humans appeared. The one who came was from the God clan. This surprised Zichen. In less than a year, the other party could find a place that was 1,000,000 miles away. It seemed that they had never slacked off. After Zichen appeared, he realized that the God clan did not leave. Instead, he stood there as if waiting for him. Bei Yen greets Lord Zichen. The person who came was a rank 5 divine realm, but he bowed respectfully to Zichen, who was a rank 4 divine realm. Zichen looked at him indifferently. My lord, we have been looking for you for a long time, Bei Yen continued after seeing that Zichen was silent. Did you find me and want to kill me? Zichen said indifferently. Bei Yen smiled awkwardly and said, My lord, what are you saying? We are both from the God clan camp. How can we deal with you? Zichen said, Don't deal with me. Does that mean you want to form an alliance with me? Bei Yen said, Before we came, our lord instructed us that if we meet Lord Zichen, we must ask him what resources he needs. If we can provide them, we will do our best to help. Under normal circumstances, Zichen should ask who his lord was at this time. However, Zichen did not ask that. He waved his hand and said, There's no need. After saying that, his figure disappeared. Bei Yen shouted twice, but did not receive any response from Zichen. He sighed helplessly and turned to leave. All the dark heavenly ants were put away. Pa-Ji also returned to Zichen's world. Then, Zichen teleported away. Of course, he did not continue to go deeper. Instead, he went to another place. Who are they? After everyone settled down again, Su Mingyao asked. It's the God clan. His attitude is very friendly. Zichen said. In the end, he did not ask which faction the other party came from. However, he was very sure that the person was definitely not from the Iron Eagle faction. As for the other God clan factions, Zichen was really not interested to know. He did not lack anything now. The only thing he lacked was his own combat strength. Once he became strong enough to fight against the rank 7 in this world, it would be time for him to return. He had the dark heavenly ants and did not need the help of others. The Iron Eagle was the only faction he recognized. Su Mingyao guessed the purpose of the person, coming from Zichen's expression. However, she did not say anything. Previously, when Zichen needed help in the city, those factions chose to remain silent. Now that they saw Zichen's potential, it was naturally too late for them to form an alliance now. Zichen left again. Not long after he left, some rank 7 arrived. They were both God clans and natives. After searching around, they naturally couldn't find Zichen. They couldn't even find a single dark heavenly ant. However, through the traces of battle, they could see the scale of the dark heavenly ants. Their originally ugly expressions became even uglier. What do we do now? Of course, we chase. For the next period of time, these rank 7 were constantly looking for Zichen. As Zichen was bringing along many dark heavenly ants, he could only change his location time and time again. He never met with these rank 7. After changing his direction many times, he continued to go deeper. Zichen was not sure what was in the depths of this world. He only knew that the number of powerhouses among the creatures from different space-time was increasing. It was so many that a large-scale battle with the dark heavenly ants gradually became strenuous. Chapter 3109. Is that where he went? A rank 7 Aboriginal stared ahead, his expression becoming very solemn. Beside him, the other Aborigines stopped one after another. They also looked ahead as if there was a very dangerous existence there. Everyone's eyes were filled with fear. If he really went there, he will definitely die. A rank, 7 said casually. It seems that we don't have to worry anymore. His relaxed expression was obviously faked because no one could be relaxed in this place. The higher the rank, the more nervous they were when they came here. It seems that he will definitely die. Another rank, 7 said. Although his expression was unnatural, his tone was very certain. The other rank, 7, all nodded. Let's wait and see just in case. These rank, 7 wanted to stay here for a while, but for some reason they were very scared, so they had to retreat. However, when they left some visible means here. If Zi-Chen appeared, then they would be able to discover him at the first moment. Although this possibility was not big. If we can't kill him, we can drive him to a dangerous place. In that case, we have succeeded. One of the rank, 7 said loudly because he was nervous. At this moment, this rank, 7 turned his head and saw other rank, 7 appearing not far away. These rank, 7 were from the Protoss. Among these rank, 7, there was Tai Jian from Tai Jian's force. He frowned and looked into the distance. He did not expect Zi-Chen to go just like that. Sigh, he is really too stupid. A sigh came from beside him. Not only is he stupid, but he is also too self-righteous. We came here to look for him, just to remind him to be careful. I think he mistakenly thought that we saw his potential and wanted to form an alliance with him, so he has been avoiding us. Even if this kind of person has good potential, how can he achieve anything in the future without any brains? These rank, 7 from the Protoss, one after another, their expressions were indescribably sarcastic. Tai Jian stood aside and did not speak, quietly looking ahead. Those aborigines were waiting here, obviously wondering if Zi-Chen would return. As for these rank 7s who recklessly evaluated Zi-Chen, he held a different opinion. If Zi-Chen was really a brainless person, then it was impossible for him to overthrow all the aborigines when he was at the lower levels and give the Protoss a pure land. As for this infiltration, it should be an unintentional act, but who could guarantee that he would definitely die? Iron Sword, why aren't you talking? At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. The other voices of discussion disappeared, and everyone turned to look at Tai Jian. The rank, 7 who had spoken earlier continued. That idiot Zi-Chen went straight into the depths. Looks like you've bet on the wrong thing. Not only are you not on good terms with the aborigines, but you've also affected the future development of your force. You haven't gained any benefits here. Tai Jian calmly replied, I've never placed any bets on him. I've always acted according to my heart. I think Zi-Chen is a good person, and I don't think he should die under the schemes of the aboriginals. That's all. Haha, that makes sense. It's just a pity that he won't be able to return alive to repay you. After entering that area, even a rank 7 won't be able to survive, let alone a mere rank 4. This time, Tai Jian did not respond because it was meaningless. As the saying went, those who walked different paths could not make plans together. That area was very dangerous because all the high-level creatures from the alternate space-time were there. So much so that rank 7 did not dare to casually step into it. He was very worried about Zi-Chen's advancement. This time was different from the last time in the city. Zi-Chen only had to face a dozen rank 7. There were a lot of celestials among the creatures from the alternate space-time. It was said that this was the base camp of the creatures from the alternate space-time. Zi-Chen did not know what he was about to face. He slowly went deeper with each teleportation. He did not know how deep he was going. It was not until the ranks of the creatures from the alternate space-time he encountered became higher and higher that many dark, heavenly ants could not come out to fight that he felt that something seemed to be wrong. At this moment, he finally met a creature from the alternate space-time that looked like a human. It was a rank 5, and its body still had the shadow of a creature from the alternate space-time. Zi-Chen went forward with his saber and killed it easily. Next, he rested there and released some rank 4 and rank 3 dark heavenly ants. As the creatures from the alternate space-time here were of high ranks, rank 1 and rank two were almost useless, even if it was a group fight. Pa Ji was commanding these dark heavenly ants to fight, while Zi-Chin continued to cultivate. 3 days later, Pa Ji informed him that another rank 5 had been found and Zi-Chin went to kill it. In the next few days, more rank 5 creatures appeared one after another. However, there were not many of them and they were easily killed by Zi-Chin. This repeated for about a month. Suddenly, one day, Pa Ji informed him that a small team of dark heavenly ants had been annihilated. What? Zi-Chin opened his eyes. A small team, including the leader, was annihilated, Pa Ji said. Pa Ji said with a solemn expression. Zi-Chin said, let's go and take a look. The leader Pa Ji was talking about was the Ant King. They usually hid underground and would not fight. When they were in the lower levels, only the spirit-devouring king grass could find them. Unexpectedly, they were found here. When Zi-Chin arrived, he saw a human standing there. Obviously, there were no humans here. He was a creature from the alternate space-time, but he did not have the aura that a creature from the alternate space-time should have. He was a rank 6. When he saw Zi-Chin and Pa Ji, he looked at them and said in surprise, a mere rank 4 dares to come here. Interesting. After that, he looked at Pa Ji and said, are those black ants yours? Pa Ji looked at him nervously. Zi-Chin furrowed his brows. The man continued, since you're here, don't think of leaving. There was killing intent in his eyes, and a powerful rank 6 aura was released from his body. They were enemies. Naturally, he should not show mercy when he met. Therefore, he rushed forward and attacked with his saber. Buzz! The moment he attacked with his saber domain unfolded, and the saber fell aggressively. Zi-Chin did not hold back at all. He used all his strength to kill this rank 6. Earlier, Zi-Chin was still wondering why the aboriginals did not come after him. However, after hearing what the rank 6 said, he guessed a possibility. This place might be the territory of creatures from the alternate space-time. They would not dare to come here anymore. If he continued to stay here, he might not encounter the aboriginals, but he would encounter powerful creatures from the alternate space-time. Under such circumstances, Zi-Chin had to consider whether he should continue to stay here. After thinking about it, he decided to stay here for a while and take a look. As long as there were no rank 7 powerhouses, he could protect himself. Chapter 3110. The reason why Zi-Chin knew there were more rank 6 was because another dark heavenly ant troop had been annihilated. Those who were able to scream and fight in this area were the powerhouses of the dark heavenly ants. The annihilation of every troop was a great loss to the queen. The second troop has been annihilated. Pa Ji said again. In a short period of time, 2 troops had disappeared. Let's go. Zi-Chin led Pa Ji forward and saw a group of rank 6. They were moving forward in a straight line. Wherever they passed, they would clean up the surrounding dark, heavenly ants. Zi-Chin's expression changed when he saw this. There was a flash in his hand, and he took out the longbow that Sky Splitter had transformed into without hesitation. As both parties were too far apart and they were scattered, it was difficult for the saber territory to cover all of them. He pulled the bowstring, and the energy between heaven and earth began to distort. It gathered crazily on the longbow. A strong aura surged out, and an arrow took shape automatically. Swoosh! The arrow shot out and drew a rainbow light, landing on a rank 6. Bang! There was a loud tremor, and the rank SAXS body exploded. This was the first time Zi-Chin had used an arrow to kill someone. He was very satisfied with its performance. Next, he continued to shoot arrow after arrow. Every time an arrow landed, a rank 6 would be killed. As they continued to get closer, the number of rank 6 became fewer. Those rank 6 who were charging forward stopped. There was obvious fear in their eyes. They who could transform into humans had already gained intelligence. They stopped, but Zi-Chin did not stop. The arrows continued to fly, and the sound of the arrows hitting the ground resounded in the sky. Blood splattered everywhere. In the sky, there was rule light falling continuously. The splattering blood, rain, disappeared after landing on the ground. Zi Chen's contribution, token, continued to shine. His contribution kept increasing. It had been going on for so long. The contribution on Zi Chen's token had become an astronomical figure. There were rank 6 who decided to run away. However, how could his speed keep up with Zichen? Soon, these rank 6 were all killed. After the rank 6 who came forward were all killed, Zichen signaled Pa Ji to get the dark heavenly ants to return quickly. "We have to go." He had killed a lot of rank SIXS in one shot. He believed that rank 7s would come very soon. This was a realm he could not deal with. Although Heaven Breaker spoke with confidence, he couldn't place all of his hopes on Heaven Breaker. Following Zi Chen's instructions, Pa Ji immediately signaled for those dark heavenly ants to withdraw. However, before he could collect all the dark heavenly ants, a ray of light appeared beside Zichen. "Human, why don't you come with me?" This sudden sound caused Zi Chen's expression to change greatly. He turned around and slashed down with his saber. A saber light, flickering with the power of yin and yang, descended from the sky with a strong aura. This rank 7's expression was indifferent as he raised his palm towards the sky. Pum! The saber light was shattered, and Zichen quickly retreated. "I didn't mean to hurt you. Come with me." The rank 7 said again. His speed was even faster. With a difference of 3 ranks, Zichen's speed was clearly slower than his opponent's. Zichen naturally wouldn't believe his opponent's words. Seeing that he couldn't get rid of his opponent, he immediately activated his saber realm. The saber ancestors' steel appeared and the realm was formed. The rank 7 was successfully trapped in it. "Die!" Zichen shouted. He rushed forward with his saber in hand. For saber intents surrounded the saber as he slashed down forcefully. Feeling the power of this saber, the rank 7's expression became extremely solemn. A strong aura erupted as he threw a punch at the saber light. Boom! There was a huge shock of energy, and the saber light shattered. Zi Chen's body flew backward and landed at the edge of the realm. His face was a little pale as he stared at the rank 7 who was retreating in front of him. The previous powerful saber could kill a rank 6, but obviously it couldn't do anything to a rank 7. "You're only a rank 4. You can't do anything to me." The rank 7 stared at Zichen and said, "Come with me to the depths. I mean you no harm." Of course, Zichen didn't believe him. There was a cold glint in his eyes. There was a flash in his hand, and the longbow appeared again. At the same time, he transmitted his voice to Heaven Breaker, who was in the longbow. "Success or failure depends on this. Don't worry. It's just killing a rank 7. It's a piece of cake." Heaven Breaker's confident voice came from the longbow. Zichen was also relieved. He immediately exerted his strength and pulled the longbow into a full moon. Seeing this, the rank 7's expression changed drastically. His body shook and immediately turned into dozens of clones. However, he seemed to think that it was still useless. So his body flashed again and turned into hundreds and thousands of clones until they occupied more than half of the realm. Zichen's longbow was already pulled into a full moon. The energy arrow was also formed again, but he didn't know which target to shoot at. Which one? Zichen transmitted his voice and asked. However, he didn't immediately get a response from Heaven Breaker. Although the rank 7 clones in front of him didn't attack immediately, Zichen was still very anxious. "Tell me quickly, which one should I target?" Zichen asked. After waiting for a while, Heaven Breaker's voice came. "It's useless. Just surrender." "Surrender? Are you kidding me?" At worst, Zichen was about to say that he could escape at worst. However, just as he was about to put away the longbow, he saw several figures appear outside the sword territory. They were all rank 7. There were dozens of them. The powerful force contained in the longbow dissipated. The energy arrow disappeared with it. Zichen was extremely shocked. He was only a rank 4, but the other side had dozens of rank 7s. Whoosh! In the sword territory, all the clones disappeared. The rank 7s who reappeared said, "Come with me. Our master wants to see you." These rank 7s masters were no doubt the mother nest that Zichen had been asking Shadowless to find. He didn't expect that they would take the initiative to find him before he could find them. However, that was obviously the strongest mother nest. After going there, the chances of survival were too slim. Zichen was unwilling. He looked at this rank 7. He was about to withdraw the sword territory, then open the world and teleport away directly. Go and have a look. I want to see what kind of existence it is too. At this moment, Heavenbreaker's voice came. You won't trick me, right? Zichen was uncertain. What's the use of tricking you? I'm familiar with the body movement technique that rank 7 just used. Heavenbreaker said. Zichen nodded. He said to that rank 7, all right then, I'll go with you. He withdrew the sword territory and put away the longbow. That rank 7 also nodded at Zichen in response. Then, Zichen found that there was an inexplicable oppressive force in the space he was in. Obviously, the other party was worried that he would run away. Then, Zichen was led by this group of rank 7s. They walked toward the depths of this world. That was the true core of the alternate space-time creatures. P.S. I've been working on the WeChat account. I have the idea of putting the article on the WeChat account for everyone to read for free. For now, I'm still a little confused. First, I'll announce the WeChat account. Everyone can follow it first. Later, I'll ask others how to upload a free article of more than 600 words. Chapter 3111. Under the lead of a group of rank 7s, Zichen walked towards the core of this area. Along the way, these rank 7s didn't make things difficult for him, but they suppressed the space he was in to prevent him from escaping. Looking at so many rank 7s around him, Zichen had already given up on escaping. He asked Heaven Patian what was going on, but there was no answer. Now he could only take one step at a time. In the process of going deeper and deeper, Zichen finally arrived at the core of the creatures from another time and space. He saw a city, and the people living in the city were all creatures from another time and space. This city had no walls, only scattered buildings. Along the way, these rank 7s didn't talk to Zichen, and at this time they also didn't explain the layout of this place to him. Along the way, other creatures from another time and space had strange expressions when they saw Zichen. It seemed that they shouldn't have brought an enemy here, especially with such a large force. Zichen came to listen, and these rank 7s brought him to the core of this city. He was very shocked because those who lived here were at least rank SXS, and there were a lot of them. They stood outside, and the suppression still didn't disappear. One of the rank 7s motioned for Zichen to go in. Zichen could only go to the front, and before he could knock, a voice sounded. Come in. It was a woman's voice. Zichen pushed the door and entered, and saw a young woman sitting in the hall, looking at him with a smile. This was a stranger, of course. Zichen said warily, Why are you looking for me? To see you, the woman said. Zichen became more and more confused. He didn't know her, so what was there to see? I want to see what kind of person the master of the Heaven Patian beast is. Hearing this, Zichen was even more confused. She knew Heaven Patian? Swoosh! At this moment, a ray of light appeared. It was Heaven Patian. He stood beside Zichen, looked at the woman, and said, You're wrong, he's not my master. Also, I don't seem to know you either. The woman stood up with a smile, then stepped aside. Patian, long time no see. A voice came from behind the screen. Another young and beautiful woman walked out. She wore a colorful dress and slowly walked forward. It really is you. Heavenbreaker said, I didn't expect you to still be alive. Aren't you living very well too? The woman in the colorful dress said with a smile. She gently waved her hand, and the woman from before left. You know him? Zi Qin looked at Heavenbreaker. The woman in the colorful dress looked at Zi Qin and smiled. This is your master. Let me introduce you. Humph. Heavenbreaker snorted coldly. Zi Qin took the initiative to say, My name is Zi Qin. I'm not Heavenbreaker's master. The woman in the colorful dress said, You must be its master, because it only followed its master and never worked for anyone else. Whoever orders him to do so must die. Zi Chen's expression changed when he heard this. Heavenbreaker remained silent. The woman in the colorful dress continued, Looks like you still don't know about this. Heavenbreaker said with dissatisfaction, That's enough. He's not my master. Besides, he only told me to assist him, but he didn't tell me to recognize him as my master. But you, why are you here? Weren't you here as well? The woman in the colorful dress said, Back then I felt an aura that was very similar to yours, but it quickly disappeared. Now it looks like I was right. That aura was yours, and you went to the next level while I was on this level. Heavenbreaker nodded. He was in a deep slumber back then, so he didn't know what exactly happened. Zi Qin, on the other hand, was a little surprised and asked, When the God of Heaven created this space, were you also present? The woman in the colorful dress smiled and said, I wasn't there, so they didn't know of my existence. But I did witness the formation of this world with my own eyes. Zi Qin was even more shocked. He had witnessed the formation of this world with his own eyes. What was the other party's background? How powerful was it? Don't think so highly of it. It's also trapped here, Heavenbreaker said indifferently. The woman in the colorful dress didn't deny it. She nodded and said, That's right. I'm trapped here, and I have no choice but to compromise with the rules here. All the enemies you see are actually my subjects. Seeing that Zi Chan was still confused, Heavenbreaker continued, It's the mother nest you've been looking for all this time. What? Zi Chen's expression changed greatly. He looked at the woman in disbelief. Ever since he escaped from that city, he had been using Shadowless to find the mother nest through the creatures from other dimensions. He didn't expect the mother nest to be this woman in front of him. The woman in the colorful dress was exposed, but she didn't get angry. She looked at Zi Qin and said, Back then I was only a strand of remnant consciousness and was very weak. Your god race's so-called heavenly god imprisoned me here and made me fuse with the rules to create our subjects for you to train on. What's a heavenly god? Heavenbreaker suddenly asked. A controller of the laws, the woman in the colorful dress said. Heavenbreaker snorted coldly and didn't say anything else. Many years have passed since then. Of course, that's because they didn't know my identity. If they did, they probably wouldn't be like this. However, the reason it was like this back then was because I purposely exposed my weak aura. I needed an extremely long time to recover, so I needed a safe place like this. Zi Chan nodded, but he didn't know why the woman in the colorful dress was telling him this, or why she had the 7th rank cultivators bring him here. He asked, Did you bring me here to see Heavenbreaker? It's just a dead bug. Do you need to be so polite to it? It has a name and it's called Fina. Moreover, it's not here to see me, it's here to see you. It has something to ask of you. Heavenbreaker spoke again, clearly very dissatisfied. The woman in the colorful dress, named Fina, glanced to Heavenbreaker with a somewhat resentful expression. She didn't deny it, so it was a tacit admission. Zi Qin looked at her and said, Then why did you come to see me? Zi Qin originally wanted to continue being polite, but after Heavenbreaker glared fiercely at him, he could only change his words. Take me away, Fina said. What? Zi Qin didn't dare to believe it. Are you deaf? It said it wants you to take it away. It's trapped here and can't leave at all, Heavenbreaker said dissatisfied. In truth, he was dissatisfied with Zi Chen's attitude. He wasn't that respectful to him, Lord Heavenbreaker, but lowered his attitude toward a mere bug. When Heavenbreaker came here, I didn't sense his aura. I only sensed it when you used it. That's not called using it. I showed myself of my own accord. Heavenbreaker interrupted the other party. Fina ignored Heavenbreaker and continued. I'm guessing that you have an extraordinary item on you that can hide Heavenbreaker. So, if you can take Heavenbreaker away, you can definitely take me away. Seeing that Z-chan was still in a daze, Fina continued, you don't need to worry about being taken advantage of. I'll take some of my subjects away. If you take me away, I'll fight for you. Moreover, my combat prowess is much greater than that of your queen ant. It'll still take countless years for it to grow to my level. After hearing Fina's words, Z-chan felt a bit dizzy. He felt like he had been hit by a pie that fell from the sky. How could there be such a good thing in this world? P.S. I'm still figuring out the details of the public account. You can add it first. If you can't, you can try again. Chapter 3112. As the mother nest of this world, Fina had countless subordinates. Moreover, they were all at the godly king realm. She suddenly expressed that she wanted to follow Z-chan. This made Z-chan feel as if a huge pie had fallen on his head. He felt a little dizzy. This surprise came too quickly. However, he did not let this huge surprise get to his head. Instead, he asked in confusion, How can I trust you? Fina glanced at Heavenbreaker, who was beside her. Z-chan also looked at Heavenbreaker. Heavenbreaker said, Although it's very annoying, it's still trustworthy. Z-chan nodded and said, All right then. What do I need to do? You just need to take me with you when you leave. As for what you want to do now, it's up to you, Fina said. Breaking this world requires a huge amount of energy. Although I can break it effortlessly, it will consume a lot of energy. Heavenbreaker looked at Z-chan and said, after hearing Heavenbreaker's words, Z-chan knew that he would need to make some adjustments. It would probably be very strenuous. However, he would not leave now. Even if he wanted to leave, it would definitely not be now. This was because this place was very suitable for godly kings to break through. He needed to let himself grow. At the same time, he also needed to wait for Tyrant and the others to arrive. He was not sure if there was a lower level. However, with Heavenbreaker's ability to break through space, he did not need to worry about where he could go after reaching the 8th stage. This was because he did not plan to go there. He was going to return to the divine world. I need to break through and grow. However, since he had promised Fina, he would become allies with these creatures from another space-time. In this case, it seemed like he would not be able to fight. Fina said with a smile, Survival of the fittest. It's the same everywhere. You can continue to fight here. Your dark heavenly ant can also continue to participate in the battle. Can I? Z-chan asked. Of course you can. Normally, when the people from that city can't kill us, we will set up a battlefield ourselves. Through life and death battles, we will select and nurture the outstanding ones. Now that you have the dark heavenly ant, you can put it into the battlefield. As such, it couldn't be better. He didn't know when Tyrant and the others would arrive. Z-chan didn't want to waste any time. Under Fina's lead, he headed towards the battlefield. The battlefield was huge, and the low-level creatures living in it were killing each other. Pa-ji appeared beside Z-chan. Looking at the battlefield, a light flashed in her eyes. She was very satisfied. Looking at the satisfied smile on Pa-ji's face, Z-chan immediately opened up his world channel. An endless stream of dark heavenly ants swarmed towards the battlefield. The space-time creatures that were originally fighting seemed to have received a new order. They stopped fighting and charged towards the dark heavenly ants. A large-scale battle broke out. Don't worry, this place is safe enough. Fina glanced at Pa-ji and said to Z-chan. Z-chan nodded and released the queen ant. The queen ant had already known everything that happened here through Pa-ji. She didn't have any objections. It was rare to have such a place to improve. Naturally, she was very happy. "You will stay here to grow," Zichen said to the queen ant. The queen ant nodded to show that she had no objections. Zichen left with Fina. He was going to go into seclusion and cultivate wholeheartedly. Su Mengyao and the others appeared in his world channel. Fina arranged their respective residences for them. Those space-time creatures that had transformed into human form seemed to have received an order. They were no longer hostile towards Zichen and the others. Heaven Breaker didn't enter Zichen's world channel again. Instead, he stayed in this area. During this period, Zichen had asked about Heaven Breaker's identity. However, Heaven Breaker told him that his memory was damaged and he had forgotten about it. Clearly, he was trying to brush him off. As for Fina saying that Heaven Breaker would only recognize an owner, Zichen didn't ask about it. It didn't matter if Heaven Breaker recognized an owner or not. It was fine as long as Heaven Breaker was really helping him. Outside the area where the powerhouse from another space-time was stationed, the natives were still waiting. The threat that Zichen posed to them was too great. Naturally, they didn't want him to live. Even though they knew that the odds were against him, they still waited here. In another area, those rank 7 gods from the god clan were also waiting here. As long as these natives didn't give up, they wouldn't either. After all, Zichen's potential was too great. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. There was no movement in the depths. A month was enough for Zichen to go in for a long time before he was killed. 2 months, 3 months. Until a year had passed, Zichen still hadn't come out. These natives were almost certain that Zichen had died in there. "This guy is dead for sure. We should go now. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have come out to warn him. What a waste of time." A rank 7 gods said unhappily. At the same time, he glanced at Tai Jian, his eyes full of sarcasm. Tai Jian had bet on Zichen. If Zichen died, Tai Jian would get nothing. In this year, although Tai Jian had been staying here, he also knew what happened in the city. Tai Jian's forces were being suppressed by other natives. Tai Jian was in a bad mood, not only because there was no news about Zichen, but also because of the god clan's deliberate sarcasm and behavior. He knew that he would be suppressed after helping Zichen. What he didn't expect was that the god clan would suppress him too. Those rank 7 natives left some backup in the front and then left. During this time, they sent some rank 6 gods to guard here. Bo Yuan was also transferred by Tai Jian. Tai Jian's forces were being suppressed, so he had to go back and take charge. Otherwise, his forces would collapse. "Sir, is Zichen really?" Bo Yuan looked at Tai Jian. Tai Jian shook his head slowly and said, "Those rank 7 gods couldn't do anything to him in the city, let alone here. Don't worry, he won't die so easily. You stay here and let me know if there's any news." Bo Yuan nodded. Next, he and some other rank 6 gods from other forces waited here. This wait lasted for decades. There was no news for decades, so more rank 6 gods left. Soon, another decade passed. There were only 2 rank 6 gods left here. One was a rank 6 god clan native, and the other was Bo Yuan. After waiting for decades, Zichen still hadn't come out. Whether it was the natives or the god clan, they had all given up. Only Bo Yuan still believed that Zichen was still alive. In the core area where the powerhouses of the space-time creatures lived, Zichen, who had been in seclusion for 100 years, had countless resources to refine. As the God King's soul essence in his hand was refined and disappeared, a powerful aura was released from his body. This was the aura of a rank 5. He had broken through. P.S. I've basically figured out how to post. I'll continue to post. It seems like I can only post once a day. Everyone add the public account. You'll be able to figure it out in a few days. Chapter 30, 113. After cultivating in seclusion for more than 100 years, Zichen broke through again and reached the 5th rank. He was very satisfied with this breakthrough speed. Aside from the fact that this place was very suitable for the divine race to improve their cultivation, the main reason was that he had a large number of divine king's soul essences. Resources were the most important thing on the path of cultivation. Without resources, no matter how talented one was, it would be difficult for them to advance. While breaking through, the Saber Ancestor's tablet and the Wing Ancestor's tablet also had to follow. This way, he could ensure the greatest increase in his combat strength. After breaking through, Zichen didn't rest. He continued to refine resources, waiting for the next breakthrough. 100 years had passed. He didn't know what the situation on the next level was like. If the monk and the others came to this world and were surrounded by the natives, it would be troublesome. Not long after Zichen's breakthrough, Su Mengyao and the others also reached the 5th rank. Reaching the 5th rank was naturally delightful. During these years, Heavenbreaker, who had devoured many divine king's soul essences, also said that he could break through this space effortlessly. As long as Zichen wanted to leave, he could do so at any time. Zichen still had doubts about this. Moreover, the monk and the others hadn't come yet, so he naturally couldn't leave. On this day, Zichen suddenly thought of a problem and immediately went to find Heavenbreaker. Heavenbreaker was stunned when he heard Zichen's words. "Why, can't I?" Zichen asked. Heavenbreaker said, "I can only break open the space. As for where the space is after breaking open, I can't guarantee." Zichen said unhappily, "Then you said you can take me away?" Heavenbreaker said, "Of course I can take you away, but you said you want to go to the lower level. This is extremely difficult." Zichen came to find Heavenbreaker because he wanted Heavenbreaker to open the lower level space so that he could find the monk and tell him some things. Or rather, he could directly bring them up. Heavenbreaker glanced at Zichen and said, "I can break open the space many times again and again, and I can always reach the place you said. However, the lower level is too small, and I didn't take the initiative to confirm the location. It will be very troublesome." Thus, Zichen had to give up on this idea and continued to refine the divine king's soul essences. Time passed. Everything was calm. In the huge battlefield, the dark heavenly ants were undergoing baptism after baptism of blood. Through countless battles, the dark heavenly ants were constantly growing. Due to the queen ant's breakthrough, many dark heavenly ants had also broken through to grade 5 over the years. At the same time, the ant queen had also reproduced many dark heavenly ants over the years. They all started with Wang, Yiping, and continued to grow after the bloody battle. Their numbers were many times more than when Zichen first came to this world. Everything was just as Fina had said. It would take the ant queen countless years to reach her level. This was because the dark heavenly ants paled in comparison to the creatures from another space-time, be it in terms of quantity or grade. The ant queen's clone, Pago, was standing in the middle of the battlefield, bored. This battle was completely under the control of the Ant Kings. Her only purpose here was to help Zichen hold the contribution token and look at the numbers on it. The numbers continued to increase, reaching an astronomical figure. She had heard that one could use contribution points to exchange for resources in the city. It was said that it was very cheap. Looking at the numbers on the contribution token, she was a little worried about the exchange. What if Zichen had exchanged for everything, but still hadn't used up all the contribution points? Pago's worry was naturally unnecessary. She wasn't worried, she was just bored. The battlefield was a huge depression. She sat barefoot on it, swinging her slender legs gently as she looked at the battlefield below. A ray of light suddenly appeared on the battlefield. That ray of light was an Ant King. The Ant King went to find the Ant Queen and transferred the rule power it obtained from the dark heavenly ants to the Ant Queen. When it was transferring, a portion of it would be absorbed by the Ant King. After the Ant Queen obtained the energy, a portion of it would be used to grow, while the other portion would be used to give birth to new dark heavenly ants. This process repeated endlessly. As she had nowhere else to go, she had to witness such a scene every day. Compared to the dark heavenly ant, those creatures from another space-time were much more independent. They could grow in battle, level by level. When they reached the 5th stage, they would show signs of transforming. After reaching grade 5, they would leave as the highest grade of the dark heavenly ants was grade 5. She watched in boredom for more than 200 years. During this period, she didn't cultivate, but her realm grew naturally. Pogo, who had been maintaining this posture, suddenly raised her beautiful eyebrows. She slowly turned her head and looked in a certain direction. That direction was the city where the Protoss lived. It had been more than 200 years since Zi-Chin fought in the city. In these 200 years, the Aborigines had gone from being worried and vigilant about Zi-Chin to calming down and finally forgetting about him. They had already concluded that Zi-Chin was dead and no longer paid attention to Zi-Chin. However, the Iron Sword faction was still not doing well. Compared to 200 years ago, the Iron Sword faction had lost 2/3 of its members. Other than a small number who died in battle, the rest had left the Iron Sword faction and joined other factions. All of this was due to Iron Sword and Bo Yuan's obstruction of the Aborigines 200 years ago. Originally, the Protoss believed that Zi-Chin would definitely return. After joining the Iron Sword faction, there would definitely be many benefits. However, Zi-Chin did not return. The Iron Sword faction was suppressed like never before. As a result, the number of members decreased again and again. Fortunately, the Iron Sword faction was still in charge of the faction. As a result, the faction was barely holding on. However, the treatment was much worse than before. Saint Rentoin of the Saint Lewin family had not been doing well for the past 200 years. Although no one had direct evidence to prove that he had colluded with Zi-Chin, he was still being suppressed all these years. It could be said that he was barely alive. As for his advancement, there was no need to think about it. From that day onwards, the Saint Lewin family did not provide him with any resources. He stayed in the family every day like a young master who was just waiting to die. In these 200 years, his realm did not improve at all. Saint Rentoin and the Iron Sword faction. One was the most miserable among the Aborigines, and the other was the most miserable among the Protoss. On this day, a teleportation light lit up and a group of people came to the city from the lower level. The city that had been peaceful for more than 200 years had some ripples because of this. Is this the second level? It seems to be different from what Lord Zhang expected. Well, since everyone is in the city, there shouldn't be any danger. It's been more than 200 years. With Zi-Chen's methods, he should have made a great name for himself here. Let's go and ask someone. A bald monk walked out of the light shield and began to inquire about Zi-Chen. This name that had almost been forgotten appeared in everyone's sight again. Chapter 31:14. After more than 200 years, Monk brought people to this floor. Almost all the people who stayed back then were here. Zhang Haotian, Li Ai, Longhu Luoyi, and the others were all here. Even Kong Emo was here. This friend, I would like to ask you if you know Zi-Chin. Monk quickly found a member of the Divine Clan. He was very good at picking people. He found a third class because he was a fourth class. Being stopped suddenly, the third class didn't look good. However, after feeling Monk's fourth class aura, he could only suppress his unhappiness and said, no. Monk was puzzled and said, that's impossible. With his troublemaking personality, he shouldn't be unknown after 200 years. Is it because he's been oppressed here, so he's keeping a low profile and waiting for Lord Zhang to come to this world and show his power? The third class listened to Monk's nagging and was very dissatisfied. However, he was soon attracted by a number, 200 years. Previously, he felt like he had heard the name Zi-Chin somewhere before. However, he couldn't remember where. Now that he thought of what happened 200 years ago, he immediately remembered. 200 years ago, there was a big battle in the city. A 4th class killed many 5th class and 6th class. In the end, he escaped from the siege of a group of 7th class. That person was Zichen. Monk was happily thinking about how to show his power. Li Ai noticed the change in the 3rd class expression and asked, "You know Zichen, right?" The 3rd rank glanced at Li Ai and said uncertainly, 200 years ago, there was a person called Zichen who went on a killing spree in the city. In the end, he escaped from the encirclement of a group of 7th rank martial artists. I don't know if the person you're looking for is Zichen. What? The smile on Monk's face froze. He stared at the 3rd class and said, "What happened? Tell me in detail." The 3rd class roughly explained what happened that year. In the end, he said, "It's been 200 years. Everyone says he's dead." Bullsh *T. How can he be dead? Monk said unhappily. Why can he be dead? A cold voice sounded. He won't die even if you die. Dissatisfied, the monk turned around and realized that many people were approaching them from all directions. Behind these people, there was another group of people. Among these people, the weakest were rank 4 and some were rank 5. In the distance, there was the aura of a rank 6 surging. The monk was a little dumbfounded. What did that mean? Beside him, the expressions of the others also changed. After rank 6, a rank 7 aura appeared. Damn it, what the hell is going on? The monk was infuriated, but he didn't show it on his face. He smiled and said, "So many people, are you here to welcome us?" He cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, but you don't have to be so formal." At the front of the crowd, rank 4s and rank 5s retreated. Rank 7 stepped forward, while rank SXS followed behind, surrounding all of them. One of the rank 7 looked at the monk and said, "Are you Zichen's friend?" The 3rd pin expert ran away in fear. The monk said innocently, "Zichen? Who is he? Do I know him?" Li Ai wanted to laugh, but he didn't dare to. "You're quite good at acting." The 7th stage expert glanced at the monk sarcastically. "Who is this Zichen you're talking about? Does he have a grudge against you?" "Don't worry. Since you've come to welcome me like this, we're friends. As long as I see him, I'll definitely help you get rid of him." The monk patted his chest and said, "Yes, your Lord Buddha's promise is absolute." The 7th stage expert frowned. His gaze moved away from the talkative bald man and fell on the others. Then he said coldly, "I thought since you were Zichen's friends, you should have some tricks up your sleeves. Now it seems that's all there is to it." "Yes, arrest them all. Isn't it against the rules to arrest people here for no reason?" At this moment, yet another voice rang out. A god race being who was clad in battle armor had arrived at this place. "Tai Jian, how dare you come here? Do you think you've had too good of a life these past few years?" The 7th stage expert who spoke earlier looked at Tai Jian sarcastically. "Dora, you should have some shame if you live in this world, right? Back then, your excuse for attacking Zichen was that Zichen killed people first, so you were punishing evil. But now, they've just come to this world. What right do you have to arrest them?" Tai Jian looked at the 7th stage expert named Dora. "Do you think there are no rules in this city in your eyes?" The monk and the others did not know the details of that year, but this 7th stage expert of the Protoss came here to protect them. So he immediately said, "So you're right. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. We didn't do anything wrong. Why do you want to attack us?" Dora ignored the talkative monk. Instead, he stared at Tai Jian and said, "Our business is none of your business. If you continue to meddle in other people's business, Tai Jian faction will definitely be completely destroyed." The monk immediately said, "We'll join Tai Jian faction for free. We don't want any reward. We'll work hard for the growth of Tai Jian faction." Tai Jian frowned. Wasn't this guy talking too much? "They've joined Tai Jian, so they're members of Tai Jian now." Tai Jian looked at Dora and said, "We must take these people away." Dora said coldly, "If you want to stop us, Tai Jian faction will definitely be destroyed. Tai Jian said coldly, I won't stop you, but how can you ignore the rules of the city? The other party snorted and said, Take them all away. Tai Jian did not stop them, but said sarcastically, Looks like you're really scared by Ziqin. Why would we be afraid of a dead man? If we're not afraid, why would we attack his friends? The monk was helpless. He did not expect to become a prisoner as soon as he arrived here. He did not resist and could only leave with these people. Sir Tai Jian, quickly find Ziqin to save us. Tyrant shouted before he left. He's long dead. A seventh-stage expert said coldly. Pasha looked away and looked at the queen ant below. Both parties communicated quickly with their divine thoughts. After that, Pasha left and went to find Ziqin. Seeing Pasha, Ziqin was surprised and asked, Why are you here? Pasha said with a serious expression, I sense the queen ant's aura. Ziqin said with a smile, You're the queen ant's incarnation. Is there a problem with sensing it? Pasha said, It's the second queen ant. What? Ziqin heard, and his expression changed instantly. He knew very well what the second queen ant meant. The queen ant was left on the first level under the monk's control. It's only been 200 years, and the monk has already brought the queen ant here. The thing on the first level had reached this level. It was obvious that the monk had come. Although he did not know why he was so fast, Ziqin knew very well what the monk and the others would face once they arrived in the city. He looked at Pasha and said, Are you guys ready? Pasha nodded. Let's go back. Ziqin transmitted his voice to the others who were still in seclusion. Chapter 31:15. Su Mengyao opened her eyes, and a hazy light flashed in her eyes. She stood up and walked out of the room. She heard Ziqin's voice transmission and knew that monk had come to this world. When she walked out of the room, Lin Shui and the others had all appeared. Everyone had expected the arrival of monk and the others, so they didn't panic. They were just a little surprised that monk would come at this time. Ziqin went to the queen ant and kept all the dark heavenly ants and the contribution token. Fina came after hearing the news and asked Ziqin what happened. Ziqin told her what happened. Fina looked at him apologetically and said, Because of the rules, I'm afraid I can't help you. Ziqin said with a smile, No need, I have a way. He brought all the dark heavenly ants and prepared to return to the city. Fina said again, When you return, you'd better take a detour because your enemy left something in front of you. You can see everything around you. Ziqin nodded and thanked her. After Patian returned, he kept everyone and teleported. The long journey was nothing for Ziqin, who could teleport with the help of the world force. After deliberately taking a detour, Ziqin handed the matter of teleportation to his doppelganger. He discussed with Su Mengyao and the others what to do next. Su Mengyao said, The best result is that they didn't recognize monk and they're safe. However, the possibility of this is not high. They'll either be captured or killed. The former is more likely. Everyone nodded. If they killed monk and the others, it was completely unnecessary because they were only fourth-grade experts. If they were captured, they could use them to threaten Ziqin. Who cares? We have the dark heavenly ants. We'll kill our way into the city and slaughter all the natives. Demon Ape said loudly. The others laughed. If there was no other way, they would have to fight. But the problem was, how should they fight? Ziqin looked at everyone and said, If you can outsmart them, it's best not to fight. Everyone looked at Ziqin. Ziqin said, The grand formation in the city is a threat to Patian. If we enter the city to fight, it will be extremely disadvantageous for us. If one were to attack the city from the outside, it would take a very long time to break through the formation. This is enough time to threaten us. If that was the case, it would be troublesome. Su Mengyao looked at Ziqin and asked, How did you know that the monk was coming? That's what Paige said. In that case, Pa Ji can sense the existence of the queen ant. Su Mengyao looked at Pa Ji. Pa Ji nodded. I can feel it. Su Mengyao pondered for a moment before saying, How about this? You and Pasha enter the city first and find a way to find the monks. If they haven't been caught, you can just take them and leave. If you're caught, think of a way to rescue them. If you can't rescue them silently, use a diversion tactic to lure all the experts out of the city. Then you can make a move. As for the method to lure the experts, it's naturally to let the dark, heavenly ant show up. Zichen said, I can leave a golden body behind. There was still some distance to go. This distance was enough for them to discuss the details of the rescue. Su Mengyao said, according to Pa Ji's perception, the monks have only been here for a few hours. Even if they have caught the monks, they must be discussing how to deal with them. They won't expect us to come. This is an opportunity to catch them off guard. Zichen nodded in agreement. The final details were completely agreed upon. After teleporting again and again, they finally approached the city. Then, Zichen and Pa Ji walked out. No one had seen Pa Ji before, so she didn't have to deliberately change her appearance. Zichen's figure flickered and turned into a fourth-class divine clan member. He walked toward the city with Pa Ji. Along the way, they saw some divine clan members who had also returned from battle. They were talking and laughing and seemed to be very satisfied with the current situation. At the same time, some people walked out of the city and discussed some things that had just happened. Zichen released his spiritual thoughts and listened to the discussions. Soon he found some useful clues. Sure enough, they were caught. These shameless people. Among the discussions, there were discussions about him. Everyone thought that since he hadn't disappeared for more than 200 years, he must be dead. Even so, those forces were still worried and directly captured the monks. Entering the city again and seeing the bustling scene, Zichen felt a little emotional. If it weren't for Pa Tian, it would have been difficult for him to leave. After entering the city and entering the crowd, Zichen looked at Pa Ji. Follow me. Pa Ji led Zichen to the east of the city. The sun rose in the east and the golden sunlight shone down. The core of the exchange castle was dyed golden. Zichen's gaze moved away from the exchange castle. He had obtained countless contribution points this time. If there was a chance, he would definitely exchange them again. This was what they had discussed in advance, before coming. After all, after hundreds of years of consumption and potions devouring, Zichen's cultivation resources were getting fewer and fewer. Because they couldn't fly in the city, the two took almost 4 hours. During this time, they passed through countless streets and finally arrived at their destination. Pa Ji looked at the huge house in front of them and said, They are here. Zichen nodded and released his spiritual thoughts. This place didn't block his spiritual thoughts. Soon he saw everything in the house. During this time, he sensed the breath of the monks. When his spiritual thoughts came to a hall, he felt a strong threat. There should be a rank 7 inside. His spiritual thoughts avoided this place in advance and extended to other places. Zichen soon found another building. Outside the building, there were 2 rank 6 and several rank 5. They seemed to be guarding something. When Zichen probed further, he sensed the monk's aura. Found them. Zichen's eyes flashed with a touch of surprise. Since he had found them, the next step was to think of a way to save them. The dangerous breath he sensed earlier must have come from those rank 7. Now that they were gathered, they should be discussing how to deal with the monks. The best way was to not alert the enemy. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. After thinking about it, Zichen finally came up with a plan. However, it required a risk. After going around this place and coming to a deserted alley, Zichen released his spiritual thoughts. After confirming that there were no abnormalities and even using the yin-yang eye, he immediately entered the house. At the same time, Shadowless went straight to those rank 7 who were in a discussion. He needed to see what they looked like and then report back to Zichen. Chapter 30:116. Back then, Zichen had seen many rank 7 martial artists, but he couldn't be sure who among them were involved. Therefore, even if he transformed, he still needed Shadowless to investigate. When Shadowless moved forward, Zichen had already transformed into an aboriginal and walked forward. During this time, he deliberately avoided meeting other aboriginals because he transformed randomly without any basis. After a while, Shadowless appeared in front of Zichen and told him the face of a person. Zichen remembered the person, so his figure flashed and transformed into the person's appearance. After transforming into a rank 7, Zichen went straight to the place where the monk was locked up. During this time, Shadowless took the lead to check on the monk and the others. "They're all here." Shadowless' voice sounded. Zichen walked to the outside of the place where the monk and the others were locked up and saw the guards. After seeing Zichen as a rank 7, they were surprised and saluted Zichen one after another. Zichen nodded indifferently. He didn't stop and continued walking forward. "Sir," the rank 6 martial artist followed. Zichen waved his hand and said, "Open this place. You all wait outside. I have something to ask." "Yes." The rank 6 martial artist didn't notice anything unusual. With a flash of light in his hand, he opened the restriction here, and Zichen walked in. The door behind him closed again, and Zichen walked forward. "You guys are really shameless. You can't beat Zichen, so you come looking for trouble with us. You know, we're not familiar with Zichen. We're just ordinary partners. Maybe I'll kill him when the time comes. It's really unnecessary for you to catch us." As soon as Zichen came in, he heard the monk's words and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At first, he wanted to call Podji out to see if they were real people. Now that he heard the monk's words, it was completely unnecessary. The others weren't as shameless as the monk. They all stared coldly at Zichen. Zichen released his spiritual thoughts and said, "Don't talk and don't resist." He used his own voice. These people's expressions were slightly stunned, somewhat in disbelief. The monk seemed to want to say something, but Zichen coldly glanced at him and angrily transmitted his voice to him. "Shut up, you damn baldy. I'll deal with you later. Let's see who kills who first." Schwa. The next moment, Zichen opened the world and took everyone in. During this time, nothing unexpected happened. Everything went smoothly. Of course, this was mainly because the natives did not think that Zichen would appear at this time. After all, he had disappeared for hundreds of years. "Zichen is dead." Zichen, who had become a rank 7, said. The only monk who was not put away said, "It's good that we're dead. Let us go quickly. We're your allies." Obviously, this guy was extremely cooperative. However, this might also be his true thoughts. "Although we're certain that he's dead, have you ever discussed how to meet him?" Zichen asked again, deliberately making his voice loud. At the same time, rays of light flew out and turned into the appearance of these people. They did not emit any aura of cultivation, as if they had been sealed. "Meet him? We're not familiar with him. Of course, we won't meet him. However, if I see him, I'll definitely bump into his head. This damn guy, how dare he harm Lord Zhang?" The monk said again. "Humph." Zichen snorted coldly, indicating that this guy should leave. The light flashed again. The real monk left, and a fake monk appeared. The fake monk said to Zichen, "Don't go. Let us go. We're really not familiar with Zichen." Zichen did not respond. After leaving the room, he said to the 2 rank Hexus, "Watch this place." The rank SIXS nodded and continued to add restrictions. At this moment, the fake monk's voice was still ringing. However, after the restrictions were added again, the voice had disappeared. This was obviously isolated. Zichen turned into a rank 7 and turned to leave. When he reached a deserted place, he changed his appearance again and left quietly. Just you guys." After leaving successfully, Zi-chan returned to the world and asked the monk, "There's also Kong Mo." However, he was brought to the Kong family. The monk asked in surprise, "Didn't you disappear for more than 200 years? How did you appear so soon?" Zi-chen did not explain for the monk. Now he had to find a way to save Kong Mo. What's the Kong family's attitude towards Kong Mo? Zi-chen asked. Their attitude is naturally unfriendly. However, they won't make things too difficult for him, right? The monk said after thinking about it. After all, Kong Mo was the pure blood of the Kong family. Logically, there should not be any problems. However, Zi-chan was still somewhat worried. However, the Kong family was different from this place. If he wanted to sneak in, it would be much more difficult. Moreover, he did not know when the other party would find out about everything he did earlier. Zi-chen decided to go to the Kong family first. It was not difficult to find out the location of this family. When he arrived outside the Kong family, Zi-chen found that the place was heavily guarded. During this time, he extended his spiritual senses and did not find Kong Mo. After hesitating for a while, Zi-chen decided to go to the trading place first. This time, only Kong Mo was in the hands of the other party. Once he appeared, the Kong family would be faced with two choices. One was to protect Kong Mo and be on good terms with him. The other was to use Kong Mo to threaten him. Both sides would completely fall out. As for what the Kong family would choose, Zi-chen had no confidence in his heart. At this time, the monk told him what happened here. During this time, a person called Tai Jian wanted to protect him but failed. Zi-chen's heart suddenly moved. He decided to go find Tai Jian first. Tai Jian was among the forces. During this period of time, Tai Jian's forces were very miserable. Because of what happened today, some people could not hold on and chose to leave. Tai Jian leaned back on the chair and frowned, thinking about what happened today. He did not believe that Zi-chen died just like that. Although the natives were very sure, they were still worried in their hearts. Otherwise, they would not have captured the monk and the others. Just as he was hesitating whether he should do something or not, he suddenly heard a voice transmission. He was slightly startled and turned his head in confusion. When this voice rang out again, his eyes flashed with a brilliant light, appearing to be in disbelief. He walked out of the room and walked outside. He walked into a restaurant and ordered a jug of wine and 2 dishes. In another place, Zi-chen and Pa Ji sat together. Pa Ji looked curiously at the food on the plate. She had never seen or eaten it before. "You actually came back." Tai Jian transmitted his voice, looking very incredulous. "This time, I came here to ask for a favor." Zi-chen transmitted his voice. The two did not sit together. This was Tai Jian's idea. From this, Zi-chen could see his situation. "You want me to help you save your friends? I'm afraid I can't do that." Tai Jian drank a cup of wine. Chapter 30, 117. Hearing Zi-chen's words, Tai Jian was very surprised and turned his head in astonishment. "I haven't rescued Kong Mo yet. If there's a chance later, I hope you can help," Zi-chen said through voice transmission. "If there's a chance, I'll definitely help. However, there shouldn't be such a chance, right?" Tai Jian said, "I'll create a chance later. I have another question. Sir, are there any restrictions on exchanging resources in the core place?" Zi-chen asked again. "Not really. Although they're suppressing my Tai Jian force, they won't make things difficult for me. A rank 7, Tai Jian continued. "All right, I'll have to trouble you to guard the vicinity of Kong family. I'll go to the core trading place." Zi-chen's purpose of going to the core trading place was to exchange for cultivation resources. However, during this period, he needed to create a panic. He and Pa Ji walked to the core trading place. At this moment, Pa Ji informed the queen, and outside the city, a black line appeared. The black line was approaching the city. There were Protoss and natives going in and out of the city gate. Soon, someone noticed something unusual and looked ahead. When they saw the black line at the end of their sight, their faces changed and they retreated into the city. Exclamations could be heard from the city. Then it rose and fell. The monsters are attacking the city. The dark heavenly ants have appeared outside the city. Countless dark heavenly ants have arrived outside the city. In a short while, the exclamations spread throughout the city. Hence, all the Protoss and natives rushed to the top of the city wall to see what was going on. At the same time in the mansion, the rank 7 who were discussing how to deal with the monk and the rest were shocked when they heard the news. Let's go and see. They left the mansion and flew to the top of the city wall. When they arrived at the top of the city wall, they saw the black mass of dark heavenly ants and Zichin, who was standing in front of the dark heavenly ants. He's here so soon? A rank 7 was stunned and said, "Did he get the news?" There's been no news for hundreds of years. How could he appear at this time? Could it be a coincidence? The group of rank 7s clearly could not figure out Zichen's intentions. At that moment, more people came to the top of the city wall. When they saw the dark heavenly ants in the distance, they gasped. Zichin, who was at the core trading area, quickly heard of this news. The existences who were exchanging for opportunities rushed out one after another. Clearly, they all wanted to see what was going on. For most of the Protoss in the city, the return of Zichen was an extremely good thing because he could make the natives tremble in fear. While the crowd was running away, Zichen transformed into Iron Sword and walked towards the core area. There were natives guarding the place in secret, but they would definitely not stop a rank 7. Moreover, Tai Jian was also a frequent visitor here all these years, so no one paid any attention to him. Entering the core area again, it was still the same as before. There were many opportunities, but the ancient ancestral tablet had disappeared. Zichen came to the place where he could exchange for the king of God's soul essences. He immediately pressed his hand on the barrier. With a thought, the king of God's soul essences flowed towards Zichen continuously. At the same time, Zichen's spiritual thoughts extended quickly, looking for some high-quality armor. For the past 200 years, he had almost endless contribution points. Hence, he could exchange for anything he wanted. The AI and the rest were new here, so they needed protective armor. Zichen was exchanging here and no one noticed him. Iron Sword concealed his aura, changed his appearance, and guarded outside the Kong family, watching every move of the Kong family. After hearing the arrival of the Dark Heavenly Ant Army, the Kong family was in an uproar. As everyone knew, the only person who could control the Dark Heavenly Ants in this world was Zichin. In other words, Zichan was not dead. When he left back then, he was a rank 4. Now that 200 years had passed, what realm was he in? While the Kong family was in an uproar, they were also panicking. The rank 7s of the Kong family flew towards the city wall. Before that, they needed to know the purpose of Zichen's return. Was he here to save people? However, they had just caught him today. How could they know so quickly? Everyone, I'm back. When they reached the city wall, Zichen's voice came through the city guarding formation. Do you still remember what I said when I left back then? Zichin could also see these people through the transparent light shield. He smiled coldly and said, "Thank you for your warm hospitality. Today, I'm going to destroy this city." When everyone heard what Zichin said, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Obviously, he did not know that his friends had come and were caught by him. All of this was really a coincidence. Zichin did not talk nonsense. He directly waved his hand to signal the dark heavenly ants to charge forward and start attacking the city guarding formation. Virum, the city guarding formation was attacked and began to tremble. Beams of strong light fell from above, heading towards these dark heavenly ants. In the blink of an eye, a large number of dark heavenly ants died. Chen was a little surprised that the city guarding formation could still counterattack. Hence, he waved his hand again. The dark heavenly ants' bodies shone brightly and went underground directly. They began to attack the city guarding formation from underground. At that moment, the formation lost its target and the strong light gradually disappeared. Seeing that Chen attacked the formation as soon as he arrived, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that he really did not know that his friends had been caught. Chen, your friends are in my hands. If you don't care about their lives, just attack directly. A cold voice came from above the city wall. Friends? What friends? Chen was stunned when he heard it. It seems that you still don't know? Your friends from the lower levels have already arrived. Unfortunately, they've arrived today. A rank 7s laughed proudly. One of them is bald. I heard that he's the person in charge below you? Do you think I'll believe that? Chen laughed sarcastically. It's up to you to believe it or not. They've already fallen into my hands. If you know what's good for you, surrender quickly. Otherwise, they'll die in front of you. The rank 7s turned around and said to a rank SXS, Go and bring those people here. A rank SXS responded and stepped back. Chen's expression gradually turned cold. Initially, I wanted to teach you all a lesson. Now, it seems that I must destroy all of you. The rank 7s laughed. It's too early to say this now. When your friends appear, I think you'll know what to do. Chen said, When I was at the lower levels, the Perry family used my friends to threaten me. You should know the consequences. Humph. Then we'll wait and see. Chapter 3118. Chen walked out of the core trading area. This time there were no accidents. He got what he wanted. Countless contribution points were exchanged for countless resources. It took a long time just to collect those resources. Fortunately, he made it in time. Walking out of the core trading area, Chen's appearance changed again. He rushed in the direction of the Kong family. At the same time, he quickly communicated with the golden body outside the city. After learning that those people went to bring the monk and the others, Chen had an idea in his mind. He met up with Iron Sword outside the Kong family. During the meeting, he asked, Did anyone leave? Iron Sword said, The Kong family's rank 7s have all left. What about Kong Mo? Still inside. Chen nodded. A plan came to his mind. I hope you can save me when I'm in danger. Before Iron Sword agreed, Chen's appearance changed again. After that, he walked directly to the Kong family. The ancestor ordered me to bring Kong Mo to the city wall immediately. He flew directly to the Kong family without knocking on the door. He turned into a rank A. Although it was a strange face, everyone knew that Chen was outside, so no one cared. After hearing Chen's words, the people of the Kong family walked out one after another. They looked at the strange Chen with a surprised expression. The others have already gone. We have to hurry, Chen said again. Follow me. A rank SXS led Chen to the place where Kong Mo lived. During this time, Chen released his spiritual thoughts and quickly sensed Kong Mo's location. Kong Mo's strength was not sealed, but there were rank SXS guarding outside his residence. Obviously, it was impossible for him to escape. Who are you? The rank SAXS guarding Kong Mo rushed at Chen who was coming. Is it important? Chen stared at him. I've never seen you before. The rank SAXS face was obviously hostile. I won't hand him over to you. Chen said unhappily, Do we need to go to the city wall to confirm our identities? If you think you're strong enough, you should bring Kong Mo to the city wall yourself. I believe you'll have the courage to fight Chen then. With that, Chen turned around and left. I've already delivered the message. If you delay, it will cause great losses to the various forces. You will have to bear the consequences yourselves. This rank 6, who was supposed to be guarding Kong Mo, but was actually monitoring him, had an extremely ugly expression on his face. He was very clear about Zi Chen's battle record. More than 200 years ago, he could already kill a rank 6. What more now? At this moment, the door opened and Kong Mo walked out. Zi Chen, who was about to leave, stopped. Naturally, he couldn't really leave. He turned around and said to Kong Mo, "You're Kong Mo. Would you like to come with me?" Kong Mo glanced at that rank 6, then looked at Zi Chen. Zi Chen said. Kong Mo's expression changed slightly. Then he glanced at the rank 6 again, then walked toward Zi Chen. "All right, I'll go with you." Kong Mo said. "I'll go with you." The rank 6 from earlier said. Kong Mo turned around, looked at this rank 6 and said, "Great-grandfather, don't worry. I'll be fine." That rank 6 who brought Zi Chen here had already left. Now that Zi Chen was here, danger could happen at any time. No one paid attention to this place. When Zi Chen heard Kong Mo's words, he seemed very surprised. He deliberately sized up this rank 6. He guessed this rank SX's identity. "Let's go." Kong Mo turned around, as if he wanted to explain to Zi Chen. Zi Chen grabbed Kong Mo and flew into the distance. That rank 6 watched Kong Mo leave. His expression changed. In the end, he let out a low sigh and said nothing. At this moment, his heart could not calm down for a long time, because he also guessed the identity of the person who left. He was very shocked. Zi Chen took Kong Mo and left the Kong family mansion. Then they walked in the direction outside the city. When no one noticed, Zi Chen manifested 2 doppelgangers, which turned into his and Kong Mo's appearances. The real him changed his appearance again. He put Kong Mo away and went to see Iron Sword, who was on guard at the side. Everything went well. He nodded at Iron Sword and said, "What are your plans next?" Iron Sword asked, "I still don't have the confidence to slaughter all of them, so I don't plan to do anything this time. However, before I leave, I have to teach them a lesson." Everyone had been rescued. This made Zi Chen breathe a sigh of relief. He did not dare to do anything in the city because of the defender formation. However, this matter could not be let go just like that. "What are you planning to do?" "I plan to go inside again." Zi Chen pointed at the trading castle floating in the air. As he spoke, Zi Chen took out a large amount of God King's soul essence. He placed it in a divine ring and handed it to Iron Sword. These resources can be considered as compensation for the oppression of Iron Sword all these years. "Sir, please accept them." Iron Sword shook his head and said, "We can't accept these resources." "Sir, you don't want them, but others do," Zi Chen said again. Iron Sword once again refused. Through this matter, Iron Sword's future situation will definitely be much better. It's not good to give them opportunities now. We'll wait for your return. Iron Sword insisted on not accepting, so Zi Chen could only nod. While the 2 sides were still fighting outside, Zi Chen came to the trading ground again. However, this time his purpose was not to trade, but to snatch resources. "What do you want?" A native who was looking at the shop looked at Zi Chen and said indifferently, "I'll go in and take a look," Zi Chen said and walked in. That native frowned. There was obvious dissatisfaction in his eyes. After entering the shop, Zi Chen's lips curled into a smile. His eyes flashed coldly. A sharp light appeared and swept towards the native at the side. After a while, Zi Chen walked out. The goods in the shop had all disappeared. The native was lying in a pool of blood. Next, Zi Chen wandered around the various shops until he had robbed all of the shops in the area. After that, he left the trading ground. Heaven Splitter appeared in the form of a bow. The energy of heaven and earth surged wildly. Zi Chen drew his bow and shot an arrow. Whong! The void trembled. The arrow shot into the sky and easily tore open the sky. A passage appeared. The people in the city noticed this. They looked up and saw a hole in the city's barrier. A person walked towards the hole with a bow in his hand. Zichen walked into the passageway, and his figure immediately disappeared. Exclamations sounded in the city. How similar was this scene from 200 years ago? The person who just disappeared is Zichen. Isn't Zichen outside the city? Why is he in the city? Following the cries of surprise, this news immediately spread in all directions. Zichen walked into the passage and arrived outside the city. His figure flashed and disappeared from the light barrier. Chapter 30, 119. When Zichen arrived at the outside world, the golden body was still having a war of words with those rank 7s. Both sides were exchanging blows, neither giving way to the other. Zichen's figure flashed and appeared in front of the doppelganger. Everyone's eyes lit up when they saw Zichen. We can go now. Zichen looked at everyone and smiled in a relaxed manner. On the city wall, when the others saw that there were 2 Zichen on the scene, they immediately exclaimed in surprise. The Zichen who was having a war of words with them earlier disappeared in a flash, leaving behind the Zichen who appeared later. This Zichen turned around and said to the front, "Today's incident is a lesson to all of you. The next time I come, it will be the time of your family's annihilation." As his voice fell, the monk and the others who were standing in the city disappeared. Seeing this, those rank 7s' faces changed drastically. Obviously, these people were fake. Zichen's sudden arrival was not a coincidence. He came deliberately. The dark heavenly ants that had sneaked into the ground appeared continuously and were kept into Zichen's world. Damn it! Some rank 7s cursed angrily. Obviously, they were careless. However, what they could not understand was, how did Zichen know that these people were captured? Could it be that iron swords people tipped him off? That did not seem to be possible because they did not know where Zichen was. So how could Tai Jian know? At this moment, Zichen waved his hand, indicating for everyone to leave. You want to leave just like that? At this moment, a cold voice was heard. Kong and Mo is still in our hands. Don't you care about his life? Zichen turned around and smiled. His smile was full of sarcasm. These rank 7s understood the chill in his smile and said angrily, "Don't let him escape." The next moment, some rank 7s flew out and attacked Zichen. Looking at these rank 7s, Zichen's eyes flashed coldly. "Are you confident?" he asked Patian telepathically. "Of course." Heavenbreaker smiled. "This isn't a city." With the longbow in hand, Zichen pulled the bowstring. The energy of heaven and earth in all directions converged towards the longbow in a frenzy. A powerful aura filled the world. Sensing this aura, those rank 7s' expressions changed drastically. Whoosh! The longbow was drawn to a full moon, and Zichen released the arrow. The energy arrow cut through the air, heading straight for a rank 7. This rank 7's expression changed drastically. He put up a defense, and a set of armor automatically appeared on his body. When the arrow arrived, the defense shattered and the armor was penetrated. Whoa! The arrow that pierced through the air disappeared. That rank 7 who was charging forward froze, falling toward the ground. A rank 7 dead. At the same time, Zichen drew his bow again and shot another arrow. The sound of something breaking through the air was heard again. The second rank 7 was killed. At this moment, the longbow that Sky Splitter had transformed into displayed extremely powerful killing power. 2 arrows killed 2 rank 7s. This shocked the other rank 7s, and they subconsciously stopped. Don't stop, just charge over. Once you get close, his bow and arrow will lose its effect. A rank 7 shouted loudly, "You're too slow. Get out of the way, I'll do it myself. Remember, 1,000 crystals per arrow." At the same time, Sky Splitter's voice sounded in Zichen's mind. Only then did Zichen remember that sky, Splitter could fight on his own. Thus, he let go of his hand and pulled the longbow itself. The energy of heaven and earth rapidly surged into the longbow, turning into an energy arrow. Wong. The arrow flew out, heading straight for the rank 7s who were charging forward. Wong. Immediately after, a second arrow flew out, almost following the first arrow. At the same time, several more arrows flew out. Each arrow represented 1,000 godly King Soul essences. If it was in the past, Zi-chan would definitely be heartbroken, but now he had countless godly King Soul essences on him, so he naturally couldn't bear to part with them. As the arrows flew out, they were all killed. None of the rank 7s could block this arrow. In the blink of an eye, these rank 7s who were charging forward were all dead. Heaven and earth were silent. No sound could be heard anymore. Those people on the city wall looked outside through the light shield as if they were petrified. More than 10 rank 7s died just like that. Even though they saw it with their own eyes, they still couldn't believe it. Some people came to their senses and used special ocular techniques, one after another. They felt that all of this might be the same as last time, just an illusion. But they were disappointed. This was something that really happened, not an illusion. Dead. All of them were dead. Iron Sword also appeared on the city wall. Looking at those rank 7's corpses on the ground, his face was full of shock. Also appearing on the city wall was Saint Rentoin, who had been suppressed all this time. Apart from shock, he was also full of excitement. Compared to the time when he only brought Zi-chan to the core trading ground once, his gains from now on would be unimaginably great. He didn't expose himself immediately because Zi-chan obviously had no intention of entering the city. He was collecting those rank 7 spoils of war and then obtain their contribution tokens. Zi-chan was surprised to find that the contribution tokens on them didn't disappear. Therefore, he summed up all the contributions together. It was a very large number. At the same time, he turned around and shouted at the city wall. Brothers of Iron Sword have been wronged all these years. The contribution tokens here are compensation for everyone. He used energy to hold the token, and the token flew up to the city wall. At this moment, on the city wall, of course, there were other Iron Sword Force members standing there. They didn't move, but looked at Iron Sword, looking very excited. Iron Sword nodded. Swoosh! Immediately, someone flew out and took the token. Then, he gave a fist salute to Zi-chan to thank him. Let's go! Zi-chan nodded at the other party, then turned around and left. At this moment, apart from those native forces who lost rank 7s, the ones with the most complicated expressions were those who left Iron Sword Force early in the morning. As long as they persevered for one more day, they would see the light at the end of the tunnel. Unfortunately, the person who received the token walked into the city gate, flew up to the city wall again, and handed the contribution token to Iron Sword. Iron Sword said, "You guys go ahead and distribute it, including those who left today." Yes. Hearing Iron Sword's words, those people's expressions became more complicated. They all smiled bitterly. They would rather not have the contribution tokens this time. They wanted to continue joining Iron Sword Force. However, it was obvious that Iron Sword wouldn't let them join again. This time, Iron Sword had risen. Zi-chan left. He didn't enter the city because the formation in the city was very scary. Once it was activated, it would pose a great threat to him. However, he would return to this place when he reached rank SAXS. Monk and the others appeared one after another, looking very excited. In just one day, they had encountered a surprise and a shock. He released the other queen ant, and at the same time, released those dark heavenly ants. How's the first level? Zi-chan asked. It's developing well. I've left a team of dark heavenly ants under Wei Li's control. I've also given Wei Li full authority there, Monk said. What about Yan Wei and the others? Chapter 3120. The development of the lower level was going smoothly, and Yen Wei was not messing around. He was focused on developing his forces. Obviously, he wanted to leave with a group of people. The forces he left in the heavenly realm should no longer exist. However, Yen Wei's idea was obviously going to fail. The situation here was different, and he did not know where the next place was. Ku Li's forces did not go back on their words. They were developing well in the lower level and got along well with the Protoss. They could even compete with the royal forces. You can even kill a rank 7. Why do we have to leave? Monk asked in confusion as they continued to move forward. The formation in the city can restrain me. Only death awaits us if we enter, Zichen replied. Where are we going now? Monk asked again. To the depths. Since the matter here was over, Zichen brought everyone to teleport. When they arrived, Monk's eyes widened in disbelief as he looked at the creatures from another space-time. You were here all these years when you disappeared. Zichen nodded. How is this possible? Monk could not believe it. At this moment, Fina came from afar. Is it done? Yes, Zichen said. Fina chatted briefly with Zichen, then left, leaving Monk and the rest to ask questions. After Zichen explained patiently, everyone was surprised and happy. So, you're controlling another army? Monk was surprised. No control, just cooperation, Zichen emphasized. Next, everyone began to cultivate. They cultivated endlessly until it was time for them to return. After Zichen left, the city became bustling with activity. This time, more than a dozen rank 7 were killed. What about the next time? Would they completely destroy the indigenous forces? All the Protoss were looking forward to it. Iron Sword Force, which was suppressed by many forces, suddenly became the focus. Many Protoss requested to join them. Unfortunately, Iron Sword announced that they would no longer recruit outsiders from today onwards. The forces of the God Clan who had followed the natives to suppress Iron Sword came to visit. Their words were full of flattery and flattery. This was because everyone knew that the next time Zichen returned, it would be time to destroy the native forces. Unlike the lower levels, the natives of this level no longer had a symbiotic relationship with the god race. Instead, they were pure enemies. That was because there was a core trading ground here. As long as one had enough contribution points, they could exchange for countless resources. These resources were provided by the rules and were endless. There was no need for natives. For the Protoss, Zichen belonged to the same faction, so naturally they would not make things difficult for him. But it was different for the natives. The Aboriginals were already in chaos, and all kinds of feelings of panic were spreading. What followed next was naturally a battle. However, unlike the battles in the past, their opponents this time were the dark heavenly ants. They were said to be endless and inexhaustible. Those were true monsters, and there was no end to them. The St. Luen family began to hold an emergency meeting. St. Luen, who had always been disliked, actually came, and his seat was relatively close to the front. The old ancestor of the St. Luen family looked at the flattered St. Rentoin and said kindly, "Iner, tell us the truth. Did you make a deal with Zichen?" St. Rentoin said with a blank face, "What?" The old man explained patiently, "At this point, the life and death of the family are in your hands. There's no need for you to hide it from everyone. If you have a deal with Zichen, then we will support you fully." St. Rentoin was even more confused. He said in fear and trepidation, "Old ancestor, what are you trying to say? I have nothing to do with Zichen. Back then, he almost killed me. Every time I'm with him, I'm very scared." Really? The old man stared into St. Rentoin's eyes. "How can it be fake? If you don't believe me, you can ask my father," said St. Rentoin. The old man was furious when he thought of that drunkard. "All right, you can leave now." The old man waved his hand and said, "Huh." St. Rentoin was stunned. "Get out. Is this a place where you can sit?" The old man narrowed his eyes and a cold glint shot out from his eyes. Saint Rentoine scrambled away with a frightened look on his face. "What a piece of trash! You're just like your father. Serves you right that you can't even drink the cheapest wine." A look of disgust flashed in the old man's eyes. Then he looked at the others and said, "All right, it's time to discuss how to deal with Zichen." The same thing was happening in other families. When the Kong family learned that Kong Mo had been taken away, their faces immediately turned ugly. Then they went to find the rank 6 who was guarding Kong Mo. At this moment, the first thing they thought of was how to establish a relationship with Zichen. If there was no relationship, then they would discuss how to start a war. The days of the Iron Sword faction instantly became better. All the native factions spread the news that anyone who belonged to the Iron Sword faction could use the Awakening altar for free. The price of exchanging resources was also halved. When the news came out, many Protoss were envious. Unfortunately, the Iron Sword faction no longer recruited outsiders. At the same time, the Iron Sword faction sent out an order that no one in the faction was allowed to exchange resources or awaken their powers. He knew very well how much affection he had with Zichen. He could not let it be exhausted just because of some small gains. His order was very decisive. Anyone who disobeyed would be expelled from the Iron Sword faction immediately. Zichen had no idea what happened in the city. After returning, he went into seclusion. Pa Ji was still on the battlefield, watching the battle below in boredom. However, compared to before, there was one more Ant Queen. Tyrant and the others all went into seclusion. Before long, they all broke through to the rank 5. Heavenbreaker swallowed a large amount of the God King's soul essence, then found a place to slowly refine it. This world was peaceful. However, everyone knew that this peace was only temporary. Once Zichen broke through, this world would once again become turbulent. As for what this world would become in the future, no one knew. Taking advantage of the fact that Zichen had yet to arrive, the native factions in the city continued to expand their influence. They gave them abundant resources and recruited armies. However, it was useless. All the Protoss deliberately kept a distance from them. This time, their former allies were indifferent to the olive branches they threw at them. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, another 200 years passed. Zichen had been in this world for over 400 years. Under the continuous refining of the God King's soul essence, he broke through to the next realm. A strong aura surged from his body. The light of yin and yang shone from the surface of his body. He broke through to the rank 6 king realm. This realm was equivalent to the rank 6 king realm in the divine world. He was only 3 levels away from the top rank 9 king realm. He was not too far away from the divine realm. Of course, whether he could reach the divine realm was another matter. Once he reached the rank 6 king realm, he would have the strength to fight against a rank 7 king realm, even if there was a formation in the city. At the same time, Zichen also planned to go back and see how the faction he founded was doing. Chapter 30:121. Zichen had the thought of going back, but he couldn't go alone. The others were still in seclusion. Zichen had to wait for everyone to break through before they could leave together. He didn't want to waste the time he was waiting. He could go and deal with the Aborigines first. He went to Paji and told her his idea. The Queen and naturally didn't have any objections. It was the same wherever they went to fight. After a few hundred years of development, the number of dark heavenly ants had increased by more than 10 times. Their overall realm had also increased significantly. The Queen ant didn't go with him. Paji followed Zichen. Then, Zichen led 1/3 of the dark heavenly ants and headed toward the city. When they left the core area and were a few 100,000 miles away from the city, the dark heavenly ants all appeared. They fought as they approached the city. 200 years passed in the blink of an eye. The Aborigines never let down their guard. When the dark heavenly ants appeared a few 100,000 miles away, They were the first to receive the news. The quiet city immediately became chaotic. All the Aborigines began to gather and discuss how to deal with Zeechan. The God clan in the city was silent. They decided not to interfere in the matter no matter what, even if the Aborigines gave them a great opportunity. The people of Iron Sword Force, who had stayed in the city for more than 200 years, heaved a sigh of relief. In the past 200 years, they didn't go out to fight because of Iron Sword's order. They didn't want to get involved in karma. They stayed in the city all the time. Iron Sword only interacted with some God clan and never had anything to do with the Aborigines. The Aborigines meeting this time was naturally to discuss how to deal with Zeechan. However, the Kong clan's attitude seemed to be a little evasive. They weren't as proactive as before. The old man from St. Lun clan looked at the rank 7 of the Kong clan and said, "I know that the Kong clan and Zeechan have some ties. However, that doesn't guarantee that the Kong clan can be completely preserved. Even if the Kong clan still exists, can you guarantee that it's the Kong clan that you control?" The Aborigines discussed for a long time. When the dark heavenly ants advanced 100,000 miles, the Aborigines took the initiative to leave the city. They formed an army and found the dark heavenly ants. The first large-scale war broke out. What made Zeechan rejoice was that there was no sign of the god race in this war. As expected, the Aborigines suffered heavy losses in this battle. The dark heavenly ant didn't stop moving forward. During this period of time, battles broke out one after another. In every battle, the Aborigines suffered great losses. The dark heavenly ants also suffered casualties. However, in front of the huge number of dark heavenly ants, these losses were nothing. The dark heavenly ant advanced on the ground, while Zeechan and Pa Ji advanced in the air. Pa Ji looked ahead and said, "They're here again." Zeechan nodded. His figure flashed as he charged forward. All the natives below grade 5 were dealt with by the dark heavenly ants. However, the grade 6 and grade 7 natives were killed by Zeechan. Killing a rank 6 was extremely easy. He had done it when he was a rank 4. Now that he had reached rank 6, killing those of the same rank would be an instant kill. His Chongdao was unsheathed. The saber gleamed as it swept past a rank SAXS body. Fresh blood splattered. Rank SAXS body fell to the ground. The 2 rank SAXS following behind him were stunned. There was obvious fear in their eyes. However, they didn't retreat in fear. Instead, they rushed forward and displayed their strongest killing moves. Facing the 2 strongest attacks, Zeechan only swung his saber. The saber gleam slashed and destroyed the attacks. The 2 of them died under his Chongdao. In this battle, 3 rank SXS died. Swoosh! After the 3 rank SAXS died, a rank 7 appeared in front of Zeechan. A rank 7 was the strongest in this world. It also represented the strongest combat power in this world. Zeechan looked at the incoming rank 7. The other party shouted loudly. He held a long sword and charged toward Zeechan. Zeechan held his saber and rushed forward. The saber and sword collided in front of him. Clanging sounds were heard. Wave after wave of powerful fluctuations spread from the sky. Below, the dark heavenly ants were fighting with the Aborigines. In the sky, Zeechan was fighting a rank 7. Pa Ji stood in the distance. These dark heavenly ants were completely under her control. Buzz! Suddenly the void trembled. The space in front of Pa Ji was distorted. A person walked out from it. When the other party appeared, he stabbed his spear toward Pa Ji. This was a rank 7. He attacked with all his might. Seeing the arrival of a rank 7, Pa Ji's expression didn't change, although she already felt the terrifying pressure coming from all directions. The powerful spear arrived in front of her, but was blocked by a ray of black light. To be precise, it was caught by a palm-emitting black light. In the void, another person appeared. His whole body was shining with black energy. He released a powerful aura. It was Zi Chen's clone. It was once God's clone. Now it was called Nether Clone. Nether Clone had also advanced to rank 6 along with his real body. He had been secretly protecting Pa Ji. Boom! The power of the underworld erupted, forming a powerful shockwave that sent the spear-wielding aboriginal flying. The other party looked at Nether Clone in shock. Obviously, he didn't expect Zi Chen to have such a backup plan. Die. Nether Clone looked at the rank 7 coldly. The brilliance in his hand flashed again. A long sword appeared. This was the stone sword Zi Chen took out from the abyss. It was unusually sharp. He rushed forward and attacked. Like a flash of black lightning, he swept past the rank 7 in front of him. In the eyes of the rank 7, the moment the black light flew over, his vision became extremely dark. Space seemed to be in a state of static. All the power in his body was suppressed. He couldn't control it. The next moment, the black light disappeared. His vision returned to normal. He slowly lowered his head. He saw a sword mark on his armor. Blood flowed from the mark. Then his vision turned black again. He lost consciousness. When the Netherworld clone annihilated the rank 7s with one slash, Zi Chen, who was on the other side, had already killed the rank 7s with his saber. Putting away his sword, Zi Chen turned around. The Netherworld clone disappeared. They knew they would die. Why did they still come? Looking at Zi Chen, who was walking back, Pa Ji asked, puzzled. Maybe they want to atone for their sins, Zi Chen said. Atone for their sins. Pa Ji was puzzled. The battle below was still ongoing. The Aborigines only started to retreat when they suffered great losses and were about to be wiped out. Just like that, Zi Chen used about a year's time to walk out of the city. During this period of time, the number of rank 6 and rank 7 powerhouses he had killed was as high as hundreds. As for those of other ranks, it was even more innumerable. It could be said that the Aborigines had suffered great losses in this 1 year. Looking at the majestic city in front, Zi Chen didn't hesitate. He waved his hand and gave the order to attack. The dark heavenly ants hid underground and started to break the formation. The city protection formation rippled. I won't stop you. Enter the city. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.